I like that you listen to Sandstorm. That's very funny.
Well, we put on the Dune score, and then we were like, oh man, it kind of does sound a bit like Dicka Dicka Dun Dun could start at any point. And then I queued up Darude, and then I was like, oh man, you really hear it on this one, don't you?
Oh my God.
Real little stinker move.
It was. You went full Dennis the Menace. Denis the Menace.
Ah.
Denny the Mini.
The Dunatics are on the sand. Welcome to Sync Floyd, the podcast where we watch every movie ever made to see if it syncs up with Pink Floyd's 1973 magnum opus, The Dark Side of the Moon. I will be known by many names, but I am Gareth Blackler, and the Benny Gesserit must have already been here because you've already know. It's James Barron. Hello, James. Happy New Year.
Representative of the Bene Gesserit, it's me, James. It's kind of weird that I'm a guy. Does that make me the Messiah? You don't want to feed into that God complex, Gareth. I've already got an ego that is bigger than the planet Arrakis. How are you? It's a new year. It's January. It's Dune-uary.
Yeah, 2020 Dune.
Yeah.
That's not as good, but I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm good. Living my life. I'm 100 pages into the novel Dune.
Whoa.
Cracking away slowly. Yeah.
We'll get there.
I'm feeling good. I'm very excited to talk about this movie for probably a record amount of time.
Yeah.
How are you?
I'm doing great as well. I'm chilling here. I'm sipping the spice melange, and I'm ready to talk about Dune 2021. Last year's Dune, that old hat. Get that out of here. Last year's Dune, the latest from Frank Herbert. Have you heard of it?
I've heard of it. It does feel like we're in the summer of Dune. Like,
oh no,
Spider-Man tried to take it. Like, I feel like a lot of the talk was about Spider-Man, but it's all immediately died down, and everyone's back to talking about Dune.
Yeah, man.
After I saw Dune, I could not escape going to a party and 20 minutes of solid Dune talk.
Oh, yeah.
And,
that happened to me on New Year's Eve. Shout-outs if you're listening, person that I talked to for a good hour about Dune. So, yeah, I did mention that I do a podcast, so if you're listening, hey. But, yeah, you can't not. There's just so much going on in this damn movie, and it's also like, I would say it's fairly polarizing. I've met the haters out there for Dune. They exist. Some people do not like this movie, and I feel like their concerns are fairly valid, a lot of them. It's not your typical summer blockbuster, I would say.
No way.
And compared to, like, as you say, Spider-Man, it's night and day. They're totally different in terms of tone. And I think that's exactly what was required. You know, like, it would be bad if it were full of action in the same kind of way as a Marvel movie. If it was, it needs to be this, like, slow building think piece, you know? And I feel like the movie really pulls that off. Just as a general spoiler-free review, fucking love Dune.
Yeah, same. Like, I would say the first time I saw it pretty much after lockdown restrictions were lifted in Auckland, and we pretty much hired the whole theatre for like maybe 10, maybe more. I think it was like 14 of us in this tiny little theatre. We had it all except for 2 strangers, and we were like, please don't be sick.
Yeah.
And like, we walked out, we all loved it. People I didn't think would love it, loved it. But I did feel like a little confused. I wasn't quite sure how I felt about it. And then I went and rewatched it at the cinema again, and completely, it just hit me right that time. I completely got what was going on, what was happening. I noticed things. And yeah, it feels like it will, like, it all depends on how the second chapter of Dune goes, on how people will judge it. But it feels like it will stick with you longer than like a Marvel movie. Like, I find most Marvel movies, you find them annoying after a while. Like, no shade to Marvel movies, which I love. But, like, you're like, after a while, you're like, oh, man, do they have to do the wisecrack there? Do they have to kind of, like, feed your nostalgia that way? Whereas this feels a little more timeless in a way that I really appreciate.
Yeah, they've definitely gone for the epic rather than, like, poking fun at, like, there are zero jokes in Dune. So you don't go for a laugh.
No, there's zero characters you'd want to hang out with, to be honest.
I feel like I could hang out with Gurney for a bit, I reckon.
Oh, we're going to discuss Gurney, because, oh my gosh. He was the character I distinctly was like, I would not hang out with. And now that I know what he's like in the book, I'm like even more confused.
Oh yeah, he's pretty different. You said you had some Dune and Pink Floyd crossover to talk about.
I certainly do. Okay, so the year is somewhere in the 1970s. Acclaimed director Alejandro Jodorowsky has just made The Holy Mountain and El Topo. He's riding high. He is like...
Both
art cinemas
films, by the way.
So bonkers. I believe, did we watch El Topo together and then didn't speak after we watched it? Yeah,
that sounds right. Yeah, that movie's a lot. In fact, both of them are a lot. Pretty hard watches. It feels like exploitative when you're watching it in a really strange way. But those movies set this guy up that they were filmed like very close together, and then he like rose to critical acclaim, right? And then was offered Dune.
They said he could make anything he wanted.
Damn.
And he pulled Dune immediately. He was like, I want to make Dune, despite the fact he had not read Dune at that point and knew nothing about it.
Classic.
He just knew like it would be great. And yeah, he set out. He assembled this like amazing team of people. He had like Mobius and H.R. Giger designing things for him.
Mm-hmm.
The cast. So the first thing he did, he cast his own son as Paul.
Yeah.
And set his son off on 2 years of intense training for this role before like anything else was approved.
That's insane.
Yeah. There's a documentary called Jodorowsky's Dune, which is a bunch of interviews about this.
Yeah.
It's a little like, it feels a little bit like it's just kind of polishing this guy's shoes quite a lot. Like, it's very up him, which he's got he's a genius, but he's got a huge ego. He's also, by a lot of accounts, a bad dude. I
think he's exceptionally problematic as a director. I'm going to lay that pretty bare here, but anyway.
Yeah, no, 100%. He also was going to cast Salvador Dali as the Emperor, who...
Pretty great.
Us 2021 fans have not met yet.
Mm-hmm.
But Dali needed $100,000 an hour. He wanted to be, as a gag, the most highest paid actor of all time.
Fair.
So the way they were going to get around this was they were only going to shoot Dali for 1 hour. They were just going to get all his shots in, and anything else they were just going to use a robot.
The Robo-Dali.
Yeah, exactly. Which would have just been cheaper. Yeah.
The irony of like Dune not having any technology or robots, and then them building a robot Salvador Dali for an actor, like, pretty great.
Yeah. It was going to be Orson Welles as the Emperor. It was going to be as the Baron. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah. Man, he would have been great. Holy shit.
Yeah, Mick Jagger was going to be in it, like, all this stuff. I've just found out there was going to be a scene featuring, like, 2,000 extras just shitting themselves.
Oh.
Which, now you're like, oh yeah, that's an Alejandro Jodorowsky.
Yeah,
that's there we go.
His speed.
Yeah, that's kind of what he wanted to make, not what Dune wanted. But the thing that is all most important to us, it's the reason, it's the desert power we're trying to claim from this anecdote, is fresh off the success of Dark Side of the Moon, Pink Floyd were approached to do the music for this movie, this probably 10-hour movie.
Yeah.
They were going to be the theme music for the House Atreides, and he flew over to meet them in England. And they almost lost the gig because they were eating burgers and he thought that was rude.
What?
Right?
That's great. Oh my God. I love the idea of Pink Floyd all eating like hamburgers together.
Yeah, that seems so out of character for them.
They're just like all English dudes, but I love that.
Yeah, sure. Lads.
Yeah, the lads.
Yeah. So it's interesting that they were only going to do the music for one set of characters, one house, and then there was going to be like a German doom rock band doing the Baron's music, and there's probably other dreams. But it all, of course, fell through because no one wanted... I think it cost them $2 million just to get to this point.
In pre-production, yeah.
Yeah, planning the film. And no one wanted to take that risk, and it all just fell apart. And, yeah, Dune sat for a handful of years. A friend of the show picked it up for a bit.
Yeah.
But we'll learn more about him in a few weeks.
We will cover off this adaptation, notably, as well. If you don't like Dune, get out of here. You're in trouble, I'm afraid, because this podcast is all Dune now.
If you're like, oh, January will only be for January, then bad news, because it's January flows by its own time.
Yeah, it's a full calendar month. It's just that it's starting probably the 15th or something. I don't know.
Oh, way later. Yeah.
Oh god. Okay. Anyway.
Yeah, this is a confusing time year already. I think we ended the last week's episode by wishing people a Merry Christmas.
Hey, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy January. Yeah. We're already in it. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, so it lay dormant for ages, and then this new adaptation emerged. The cast got stacked and stacked and stacked. More stacked than Bautista himself.
Yeah.
And the first trailer drops. We've talked about it already on mic, but it features Eclipse by Pink Floyd.
Oh, yeah.
Two people go nuts for it. That's us. Other people, I read some stuff from their time. They were so worried. They were like, no, he's not making actual Dune. He's going to try to make Hodorowski's Dune. He's going to make this weird thing where a legendary, quite problematic artist gets paid too much and there's a robot involved. He's not actually going to make the Dune that we want.
Yeah.
And those people were wrong.
Yeah, super wrong.
Yeah, but put a Pink Floyd song in your trailer, you'll pique our interest, especially if it's from the only album we want to talk about.
Yeah.
And yeah, you do that and you'll get a month of this podcast talking about you.
That's how you do it. It's a pretty sweet cover as well. Hans Zimmer did it. And it's just got the vibe down pat. For the trope that is the cover of a 70s rock song randomly thrown into the trailer to build hype, it has the legs, it has the history, and it fits perfectly. I can't think of a better match for Dune as a concept than Eclipse. I think that's
no way.
I said it at the time when I was talking about the trailer, but it was fantastic as a choice. It doesn't feature in the actual soundtrack to the movie, but, which I think is good as well, because that would have been a little bit weird. It could have played over
that's
credits.
A good point, yeah.
That would have been fine, but I don't think it does.
No, I was thinking it might be subtly weaved through, but I couldn't pick it out at any point.
No, it's just all...
Except I could pick it out pretty well when I listened to it on mute with Dark Side of the Moon playing.
Yeah, it was coming loud and clear. Should we do it? Should we dive into this monstrosity?
Let's get as granular as the sand itself.
Oh my god, so many. It's stuck in my craw. Get ready. Let's do it. We launch into Speak to Me, Gareth, and the movie starts with a small sentence before even the studio logos appear on screen.
Wild,
There's
right?
a terrifying sentence that just says dreams are messages from the deep, and over this in the cinema it scared everyone around me because there's a really loud sound that's just over it, and it's oh man, whoa. Freaked my dad out.
Oh no.
Yeah, I saw that. I watched this movie in cinema I didn't mention this earlier. I went with my family. My dad's a massive fan of Dune, and I had to go with him. He really liked it. He said it was a really good adaptation, but he found it too loud. That was his main complaint, and I think that's fair enough. Honestly,
yeah, heck yeah.
Hans Zimmer soundtrack, you're gonna get that too loud feel. That's a guarantee.
Yeah. So was Dune around for you growing up? Was it a big kind of deal?
Yeah. I absorbed the story mostly through osmosis from my dad, talking to me about it on car trips and stuff. He's a massive fan of it, so and has all the books. I have his copy sitting next to me, and it's exceptionally well leafed. Hilariously, it says soon to be a major film printed on the cover, which is just so accurate.
This film is major. Give it that.
Yeah, definitely. I'm trying to find when it was printed. It doesn't say. It doesn't say. But yeah, it's a really old one. It was printed in New Zealand, so cool. I wouldn't say it's like the original printing, but it's basically destroyed as a book. So that gives you an idea.
That's awesome.
But yeah, we go into studio logos, all that. Speak to me, you know how it goes. There are a couple of opening titles here as well, and they appear for exactly 4 heartbeats apiece in Speak to Me, like perfectly lined up, which I'm very happy with.
Heck yeah.
That's really lovely. And yeah, we get into like a very quick kind of intro piece, giving you a little bit of background. See the sandy dunes of the planet Arrakis. And then, we go into Breathe, and we see these like big harvesting spice machine things, and the Fremen assaulting these, or like a sort of attack on this harvesting operation. And we're getting some narration by Shani, who is a Fremen girl. Zendaya plays her.
Yeah.
Who's pretty great, honestly. We don't really get her for this part of the movie. She's just sort of the part that we're discussing. But yeah, she's just sort of appearing in dream sequences for most of this bit. But I enjoyed her performance. Heck
yeah. I know it was a big deal, a lot of people, because people love Zendaya, as they should. She's like, honestly, one of the most magnetic and like exciting actors working today. Especially for someone who only goes by one name and was a Disney Channel star. It's so cool.
It's pretty impressive. I like that she's magnetic. And would you say that she's more magnetic than the robot Salvador Dali?
Yes, because I believe stainless steel isn't magnetic, as they taught us in primary school. But then my stainless steel fridge took my magnet when I got home, so I
took it?
Believe.
It thieved it.
Still has it.
Oh, god damn it. You're too weak to
it was my little child arms. The steel itself is stainless. People were disappointed that Zendaya is not a huge part of this film. I think
she'll have more.
The Zendaya Hive came out, and we're mainly looking at sand, so that was a shame for them. But
that's fair.
Yeah. Next, in 2023, we're going to get what we need.
We're going to get all the Zendaya. Yeah, it'll be the full spectrum, because she plays a much bigger role in the like latter half of the book. So you know. Anyway. We get into like, she's just giving us a bit of information about how Arrakis is currently occupied by the Harkonnens, who are the main baddies, ruling it as like a fief and harvesting all the spice, and less like they've been there long, like for her entire life, and just bad. But then all of a sudden, they leave. They up and leave. They're ordered to abandon the planet by decree of the Grand Space Emperor. We see them like marching into their transport ships, and she's like, but who will come to replace them? And that's where our story begins.
Yeah, who will be our next oppressor? Which is such a like... I'm like I said, not very far into the book at this recording, but like it's so cool to start it from her perspective, and kind of... Because Dune does kind of create the kind of Avatar problem of like someone comes to this planet and is the one to save it.
100%.
So it's a good move to twist that immediately.
Definitely. The book of Dune is like commonly criticized as being a white savior story. And this movie, I've read a thing about that Denise said where he like was the same criticism was levied at him when making this, and he said that this is like he's leveling it as a criticism against that exact thing, like the idea that of a white savior, like all these people are trying to make this white savior narrative happen, but like proving that is a bad idea. Like,
Yeah.
that's kind of what his version of Dune is about. And I think that's really cool. And I imagine we'll see, again, that more of that playing out as things progress in the story because, yeah, we're just sort of setting up that there is a white saviour-y guy. And then we get to see things go bad. Yeah.
It is sort of to the, like we said, a lot of this movie will ride on how they handle the second half.
Absolutely.
And, like, at the moment, 5 out of 5, 10 stars. But it could be, if they somehow mess up part 2, it could be like, you look back on part 1 like, oh, hold on, no.
Yeah. Could be. We'll see.
But I love hearing that. That's really reassuring to know that, like, that's kind of how he's approaching it.
Oh yeah, he's fully aware of that. Like, when making these films, he was like, he would be stupid to just forge ahead with the exact vision of the book because like it is a little bit iffy. It was a book like made in the 60s, 70s, even before that, right? Like
63, right?
Yeah, 10 years before our beautiful, illustrious album, the magnum opus, would be released unto the world. But yeah, so he was fully aware of it. So yeah, we start the movie here. We get the title card, which is beautifully designed, as I've covered off in the past. Great typeface, love it, so smart. And we start this film proper with Paul, young Paul, Timothée Chalamet, playing him, waking up on dreaming of Shani on Arrakis. He's waking up in Caladan, his home planet, and it's the year. We get a year card, which is always great, saying 10191. So how would you even say that? Like 10,191? It's a complicated year to even articulate. But yeah, it's bloody 8,000 years from now, Gareth. So get hyped.
Something to look forward to.
He's on
in our old age.
He's on beautiful Caladan, which is like mountainous and rains all the fucking time. It's like if Scotland was a planet, is how I would describe it.
100%, yeah.
Like lush and stunning, but very cold and very wet. And then, we go from here. He's hanging out with his mum. There's a lot of Paul hanging out with his mum in this movie, by the way.
And as a recovered mother's boy, I'm like, yep, I get it.
Fully tracks.
The other kids are scary.
Yeah, they are. Especially when you're heir to the fiefdom. As you were as well. But yeah, his mum, Lady Jessica, and they're having breakfast together. I'm going to cover more of them, these characters a little bit later, because we see them all in a big group, and I'm going to cover them off then.
Okay.
But yeah,
that sounds good.
They're preparing for like a big ceremony that's going to be happening on later that day. And just having some breakfast together. And we go into On the Run as she uses the voice, it tells him to use the voice to like as practice, which is there's so much going on. So this is like a sort of special power that the Bene Gesserit have, who are a faction, and which I will cover off more soon. But it's sort of like hypnotism, half like power control thing, where you speak in a certain dialect and with a certain force behind your words, and it controls the person. Or like, how to describe it? It's more so,
it's mind control,
a little bit,
pretty much, right?
Temporary mind control.
We see it in action,
yeah. But yeah, just more like suggesting things. It's like, it's like if you've ever played D&D, prepare for me to be very nerdy on this podcast. If you've ever played D&D, the suggestion spell is how I would describe it. You know, you say something and the person's like, yeah, that's a really good idea. I'm going to do that. Like, that's how it feels to me. Anyway, on
a different layer of nerdiness, it's probably like the you don't want to sell me death sticks kind of thing.
Yeah, very much so. It's like almost Jedi mind trick, I would say, but like a little bit more coercive
Yeah.
in a scary way.
So cool though, the way it's treated. Like I'm not sure if that's 100% how it is in the book, but it's like the idea that you have to get the pitch exactly right, and the way, like, when you're not hearing Pink Floyd play over it, the sound mix is so cool, especially when he doesn't quite do it right, and it just kind of rumbles the entire cinema. Like, your dad must have hated it, but it's so dope.
A very loud bit for him. But it is handled well sound-wise. I think he was more annoyed by the ships and stuff taking off.
That's fair.
But anyway.
There's a lot of that in this film.
There is, yeah. But yeah, so he tries to get her to pass the water over, and she only like half does it. And so she's like, okay, a little bit more practice required. Doesn't quite have it yet. And she asks him about his dreams that he's been having, and we get a very quick cut away to what we saw before, where he's dreaming of Arrakis, and he sort of hides this from his mum in this instance, but I think she knows, like they've talked about it before, that he has these dreams. Anyway, we see him doing a bit of research on Arrakis. We get a lore dump through documentary. These cute little holograms. I really like this. In the book, there's like little encyclopedia tome things, which is like heavily layered inside the sides of this like tiny USB stick sized thing. But I like holograms are so much cleaner, you know? Yeah. It is this cool like artifice thing in the book. But anyway, I found this enjoyable. And we get like a little bit of info about Arrakis and its like ecology, with it's got these crazy sandstorms that can like kill a man in seconds flat. And then a little bit about the Fremen, and he's looking at like diagrams of the still suits that they wear. The Fremen are the native people of Arrakis, and we get some info on them. It's this like colossal lore dump of all kinds of stuff that you need to know. And it's first, maybe a little too much to take in on your first viewing. Yeah, because we get we get the first of all, we get Arrakis. There's sandworms, sandstorms. The Fremen, there's they wear these still suits to keep them safe. They have eyes of a bad, which is the glowing blue eyes caused by the spice melange. And they, in the book, it's your entire eye that is blue, which is more than a little unsettling. But I appreciate the change to just the iris being made to glow blue. I think that's a little bit cleaner. The whites of your eye are a shade of blue, like a lighter shade. But if they were just like full on Cyclops from X-Mening us with the blue, it'd be harder to kind of like connect. Yeah, that's how it's described though. It's in the book. It's like pretty intense. So fair enough. It's like going to show how intense the spice is. But I think it looks, it's a little bit nicer so that they look more human, because a lot of the main characters are also going to end up with this kind of effect on them. So would have been a bit weird looking at a bunch of like blue-eyed friends, you know, very alien. But so their blue eyes are caused by exposure to the spice, which is in the air and the sand of this planet. And it's the only place in the known galaxy that has this spice. And it's, first of all, it's described what it is to the Fremen. And it's this substance that's this like sacred hallucinogenic stuff that preserves their life and brings them health benefits and is like this great thing. It makes them strong warriors, etc. But its other purpose is that it's used by the Spacing Guild, who are in control of faster than light travel, and it's the thing that makes that possible. It's the thing that makes the whole galaxy work. It's effectively, how I would describe spice is that it's a combination of oil, like crude oil for cars and stuff, and crack cocaine, Garrett. That is the Earth equivalent, and with the value of both at the same time. You know?
Perfect. That's really good.
Yeah.
So what is luckily not mentioned is the fact in the book, and I think it will be in the sequel, the fact that to travel through space with the spice, you fold time and space in on itself, and you don't move, the universe moves.
Yeah. Love that.
If we had to deal with that as well as all of this stuff in this info book, the hologram scene, I think we would have there would have needed to be a pause. Timothée Chalamet would have had to look at you in the audience and be like, do you get it?
Yeah.
Please, talk amongst yourselves until you get it.
I have a diagram if you need it. He comes, walks down out of the screen on his holographic stairs and just waits for everyone at the front.
Checks in with everyone personally.
Yeah. He's like, you got it? Okay, good. We're good. They do show a big old portal for this, which I don't know if that's true to the book. These big, portal things in space. It's on one of the covers of the books, this big tube thing that the ships fly through. I guess it must be part of it. I don't know how it works, personally, the space travel.
I read an interview with the director that, because you see one of these portals in action during the invasion, or the betrayal. And he was like, I've left it purposely unclear if we're looking at a Stargate or we're looking at a bunch of ships coming out of a big ship whale thing. It's we'll explain it later, but again, he did not want to break your brain.
Yeah, probably a good idea. And also the Spacing Guild in general, I think left very elusive. They don't talk to fucking anyone in the story. They're supposed to be this enigmatic group that try and stay out of politics as best they can, but are making shitloads of money out of folding space and time. It's your mate with the car. That's who the Spacing Guild are. When you're 16 and you need to get somewhere, it's your friend that has a car.
Yeah, you don't want to talk to him, but
the less you know, the better.
Shelley's party. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're like, how did he get this car? Who's this uncle he keeps talking about? I really don't want to know.
Just take me to Kate's place, please.
Yeah. And then be here in 2 hours when I need to leave Kate's place.
Yes,
please.
I'll be loaded up on the spice.
I need to get to Time Out. Yeah. Time Out is not a good reference because it's a concept of punishment as well as a early 2000s New Zealand video game arcade.
True. That's the most arcane thing we've said so far on the podcast.
Sorry, Dungeons and Dragons reference. There was an arcade brand in New Zealand.
Hey man, D&D's universal. They're playing it on Arrakis. Anyway. We get this big transport ship landing on Caladan, and the hangar door hits the ground in line with the crash sound of On the Run. Hey, we're still doing that. It's not really a huge crash, so it's not that great of a sync, but at least something happened. And then, we've got a retinue of representatives of the Emperor and the Spacing Guild that we were talking about earlier, who have come to transfer control of this planet Arrakis to House Atreides, who are main protagonists, effectively. They're who we're following for the story anyway. And basically they have to abandon their homeworld of Caladan and move to Arrakis is the deal, because we're in a space fiefdom. You own one fief, you get another fief. It's that fief life. Gosh,
fief is such a tough word when you're stuck with my F's and TH's issue that I've had since a kid. I'm glad you're confidently using it, and I'm just nodding along.
I got you.
Thank you.
We've got among them also is the Reverend Mother of. Oh, actually, is she here for this? There's a representative of the Bene Gesserit anyway. Who are these shady religious women. The Bene Gesserit are super complicated, and I'm going to cover them a bit more when we get to the Reverend Mother scene.
Okay. But that's when I'll save the perfect Bene Gesserit joke that my friend Aiden came up with.
Oh,
shout out to you, Aiden.
I'm hyped.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Basically a whole bunch of political bigwigs have come, and there's a line of the Atreides royal family here who are to accept this deal. Center stage, we have Duke Leto, as played by Oscar Isaac, heartthrob, main draw for many of people I know. Like,
Yeah, same.
like they were like, I'm just going to see Oscar Isaac do his thing, and it's like, okay, I can't fault that, I guess.
Yeah. How could you not as well? Like, it's him and Timothy are like kind of perfect, like meta casting.
Yeah.
And this is, for Timothy, I can explain it more succinctly, but this Oscar Isaac ride, I'm taking you on as I think of it in real time.
Go.
But like, you know, he's been around, you've watched him grow, you've watched him, you know, everyone wants him to succeed. Sometimes he's given things where you're like, oh no. Like, I think his actual Duke Leto moment was when they cast him as Apocalypse in the X-Men movies.
Oh my God.
A role he was dedicated to fail. Did you see Age of Apocalypse 2016?
No, I did not. Oh gosh.
Okay.
That sounds
So,
like
you know,
a devastating role though. Ugh.
Yeah. It's a lot like it. They sent him to the desert and set him up to fail.
Oh,
Because
no.
like Oscar Isaac, amazing, personality more magnetic than my stainless steel fridge.
Wow.
Like, he's got it. He's funny. He's great at acting. And he's also, incredibly, incredibly good looking.
Yeah.
What they do for X-Men Age of Apocalypse is they cover him in blue paint.
Oh.
They put him in a big old, like, buff boy suit. And they give him 0 lines.
Oh.
His main line is he gets to say learning really slowly. It's such a waste.
Oh, that
and like,
sucks.
yeah. And you couple that with then, he was still very good in the Rise of Skywalker, but that was also kind of like,
Oh yeah.
I mean, that's a whole other kettle of fish. So yeah, now we get to see him play this character who the world is setting up to fail, but yeah, despite it all, you want him to succeed.
Hell yeah. And he's great.
And obviously, he's amazing in this film. Like,
Yeah.
the reason people are excited to see him and talk about their crushes on him is like solidified by this.
100%.
Yeah, and obviously Timothy playing the chosen one. Like, again, everyone wants this boy to succeed. Ever since like Call Me by Your Name and Lady Bird, the perfect 1-2 punch, he has felt like the chosen one. Like, everyone knows him. Everyone, like, you'd see him in a lineup and you'd be like, that's the chosen one.
I don't know. He's great for it in a lot of ways as well, because he's got this like dark brooding kind of energy to him as well, which I think is required for Paul.
Oh yeah.
You know, like, it's so funny that the Messiah's name is Paul. I just still can't get over it. It's like the funniest thing about Dune. I'm never going to get over it.
Yeah, especially when you've got characters like, Shani and Glossu Raban.
Yeah.
Although, I will also say, and we're going to get to it, Duncan Idaho as a character name, I will never understand.
My boy. God. Yeah, we'll get to him. He's not here right now. He's off doing stuff. But we do have, he's flanked, Oscar Isaac is flanked by his advisors in Gurney, who is played by Josh Brolin, and is the House War Master, effectively. He's like a hero of legend. In the book, super different to how he's portrayed in this movie as well. Again,
I could not believe that,
Yeah.
So, reading the book, Gurney shows up for his training scene, which we'll get to. It's a little earlier in the book. And immediately picks up like his space guitar and sings a little song.
Yeah. Well, they mention Paul requests a song from him when they do the training, and he's like, "Fuck off! I'm Josh Brolin." Like,
exactly,
absolutely not. So I think that's kind of a weird cast because in the book he's sort of like a warrior bard type. Like, I think of him as like this like huge ugly Scotsman who has a delicate like romantic side to him.
Yeah.
You know, that's how I pictured him from the book. But like, and I guess Josh Brolin could pull that off. It's just that he super doesn't. Like, he's just like, no, I am like terrifying war man and nothing else. But I do like him.
Who could do this is Bruce Willis, because Bruce Willis famously has an album called like The Return of Bruno.
That would have been pretty good. I would have low key would have thought Dave Bautista could have done it.
Yes.
I reckon if we swapped him over and we had Brolin as, oh God, what's his you said it earlier.
Glossu Raban.
Thank you. Yeah, just swap them out. That would have been pretty good. But anyway, they're both like broody types, but I don't know. He has the more of a romantic side to him, I think, Bautista, weirdly.
Yeah.
But anyway, he's good. And also we have Thufir Hawat,
Yes.
who is played by Stephen McKinley Henderson, and he is the Mentat for House Atreides. And a Mentat is a person who is effectively a human computer, or someone who has trained to train their mind and like their body to perform calculations similar to a computer. The thing about Dune is that there are no computers. There was a big anti-AI movement when the AI tried to take over many years in the past. And like there was like a robot uprising kind of thing. And they were like, fuck that. Never again. No computers ever. Only. And so they've developed all kinds of ways to get around that in Dune. And it's really interesting. It's also why there's like no like targeted weapon stuff kind of things like that as well, because there's no computers to do it. So it does a lot of cool things with technology, Dune, and we'll get more into it, especially in the training section.
You've blown my mind. I think I actually need to go see Dune again just to watch it from the like it's the future but no computers angle.
Yeah,
that's so cool.
Yeah, it's very good. The Mentats are fascinating as an idea. We even see him do like a calculation where his eyes sort of roll back into his head, and he just figures out a huge amount of money that they spent to get here just by using his computer power. So that's cool.
This is like. It was so funny after watching this. Friend of the show, Maddie Smith, on the drive home asked me. Who was my favorite character? And I thought that was such a funny question for such a serious film with everyone very like, morally all over the place, and even the idea of the hero being in question. Mm-hmm. But like the idea of like, who's your fave? Who are you? Who are you going to play? And when we play Dune, and by far, this is my favorite character, and it's entirely due to Stephen McKinley Henderson. If you've been following the show, my small obsession with him is growing.
Whoa, wow.
It was so funny watching this twice, and then we rewatched Lady Bird, to end off 2021.
Nice.
It's one of the last movies of the year. And just seeing him again playing the drama teacher and doing the who's going to cry first competition and all this stuff, and then being like, you're also the Mentat. This is amazing.
The Mentat. Oh, yeah. Look out. He can do calculations real quick and be a drama teacher.
Yeah.
He's the triple threat. Anyway.
Yeah, this guy's my favorite character.
Wow.
I love his little umbrella. I love the fact that he just dresses like a normal guy.
His umbrella is fantastic, I will admit.
Yes. Yeah.
Man. I think the next person I'm going to describe, Lady Jessica, is my favorite character.
I was just going to say that. So actually, in terms of if you and I were going to hit the playground tomorrow, James, and we were going to play Dune, I'll play Tirtha Hawat. I'll pretend to be him.
Yep.
And you can be any other character.
I'll be Lady Jessica.
Yeah.
It's a weird pairing, but I love it.
Yeah, what are they doing? Yeah, in terms of the performance, what she's doing with the role, how she's written and how she's fleshed out compared to the 80s movie and the book.
Yeah.
Everything Rebecca Ferguson is doing to play Lady Jessica is so amazing. I hate that I'm saying magnetic so much this week, but you can't not look at her on screen. She's doing this great kind of fidget. She seems so sure of herself and unsure of herself. Oh, yeah. Why is she your favorite?
The facades that she she puts up for all the different people in her life is so fascinating. And yeah, she behind closed, when she's alone, she's often breaking down, but she just puts on this brave face for so much of this movie, and it's just fucking awesome. She's you can just read it into her face. There's so much going on, and she's a fascinating character. as well, because she is the concubine of Duke Leto. They aren't married for political reasons, effectively. It makes sense in the book as to why, but anyway.
It's such a big deal in the book. I did not expect that.
It's huge. But anyway. Yeah. But yeah, she is Paul's mother and also a member of the Bene Gesserit, who, again, I will get into later.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, of course, Paul is there as well, who we described as well. So these are the crew here. Yeah. Also, we are still in On the Run.
Yeah.
Of the first playthrough. So there you go. We go into time now, though, as the clocks go off and we get more of this ceremony playing out. The Atreides effectively sign on the bottom line. They don't have much of a choice, really, because this is being ordered by the Emperor. But even so, the Duke gives like an impassioned speech about like the Emperor calls and the Atreides will answer. This like how they are as a people, they're honorable folk. And yeah, and he stamps his little seal ring into the contract, into like the wax seal. It's it's nice. I like that as a recurring thing as well. Symbol for House Atreides also is a eagle. Usually in red as well. So I don't think they use the sigil for the Harkonnens. I don't think you ever see it, but it's a blue griffin, in case you're wondering. Anyway.
It's Ravenclaw and Gryffindor swapped.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah. Just none of the personality sides.
Yeah. Hopefully not. We go into Time's vocal now, and we meet Duncan Idaho, who wasn't present at this fuddy-duddy signing ceremony because he was out in his cool ship, just zooming around, having a good time. He's played by Jason Momoa, who I think does a great job as well. As this like similar kind of vibe to Gurney, but not with the sternness. He's like the fun uncle that you have.
He's the uncle by blood, and Gurney is the uncle by marriage. Yeah. Like, one's just chaos, the other's like, I've got to be good to this child.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I've got to like teach him the right way, and the other one's like, hey man, you want a beer? Yeah, exactly.
Borrow my car.
Oh no, he's not that uncle.
No.
But yeah, so yeah, he's like giving some encouragement to Paul, who wants to go, like he's going to Arrakis tomorrow as like a advance party for the colonization, with a secret mission. And also, Paul's like a big fan of this guy and confides in him about the dreams that he's been having. And says that he saw Duncan among the Fremen, like hanging out with them, but he also saw Duncan's death in battle, and he's like worried about it. And Duncan's like, it's okay. Dreams are dreams. Everything that all the good things happen while you're awake, or something to that effect. And yeah, it's just a good little vibe. Yeah,
yeah.
It's like
he does have the closest thing this film has to a joke when he like kind of razzes Paul for if he's gained muscle or not.
Yes.
Which got a huge laugh in the cinema. So
I mean, fair.
It's the closest it felt like to like a Marvel-y kind of joke. Which again, nothing wrong with those, but not the kind of film for them, really.
Imagine if Timothée Chalamet was just ripped as hell, though. Like, that would be terrifying.
Yeah, he'd be unstoppable.
He would be.
He'd just be in every single movie.
I think so. He would take over everything. That's a true Messiah move.
That's how the 70s Alejandro Jodorowsky film was going to end, was everyone was going to become Paul, and then the planet was going to become Paul, and then fly around turning other planets into Paul.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
So, that's what's going to happen if we lend Timothée Chalamet gym memberships. So please don't.
Don't do that. That's not my New Year's resolution. That's why you can't give up on the gym. You've got to let it go. Otherwise, Tim's going to pick up the space at the gym and just get ripped.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then we're
social distancing at the gym. You can't have that many people in there, especially if one's Tim.
Tim. Oh, Tim playing
That's going to happen. He'll get buff and he'll be called Tim Chalamet. And
No.
we just can't have that.
We can't have that. We can't be having that.
Yeah.
We go, and Paul goes to meet with his father amongst the like historical crypts of his family out on the mountainside. They have like a nice moment together where they're talking about legacy. He tries to convince his dad to let him go to the advance party again, and his dad's like, nope, you are the heir to my house. Absolutely not. And yeah, they talk about how there'll be serious danger when they get there because the Harkonnens are the historical enemies of the House Atreides. There's a long-standing feud between the houses that is not gotten into in the movie just as well. But anyway, they feel like they're walking into a trap, basically. But the first step to not setting off a trap is to know that it's there, and then you can work around it. So the Duke talks about desert power here. He's trying to say that there's a hidden strength on Arrakis that the Harkonnens overlooked, and it's the Fremen people. He wants to invest in, as much as he wants to invest in the spice, he wants to invest in the people of the planet as well, because they were largely oppressed and shunned by the Harkonnens, who just like treated them as like a nuisance when they were basically harvesting their planet dry, Anyway, we go into Great Gig, and then there's a bit more discussion where Paul's talking about how he doesn't feel that he's ready to fill the Duke's shoes should something happen to him. And the Duke's like, yeah, dude, same. I didn't feel that way. Like when my dad passed, I didn't want that responsibility. But he has a good quote. He says, a great man doesn't seek to lead. He is called to it and he answers, which is a good classic leadership quote. There's a lot of like good poetry and maxims in Dune. The book especially, like even more so. It's like layered with this kind of stuff. So yeah.
You could make like a Dune corporate calendar that's just full of the fun, like the good maxims in Dune. And yeah.
It's November. Fear is the mind killer.
Oh, that's a good post-Halloween message.
Yeah, I like that.
You're not allowed to be scared anymore. It's the mind killer.
No more fear. No fear. It's just no fear. That's all it is. Anyway.
Yeah. No fear Vember.
No fear Vember. Then we get the training sequence with Gurney, who comes in and does a bit of like final training with Paul here, who's like doing a bit of sparring. They've got swords and daggers and stuff, and a shield generator, a personal shield generator, which is like a interesting tech that they have, covers the whole body and is represented in the movie by this like glowing blue light that when pierced like glows red. So it can only hold off so much, but like it's enough to deflect like blades and things like that, other than like when they're pierced into you.
Anything fast it deflects, but then if something goes through slowly, it turns red and lets through.
Oh yeah, notably in the books, this is why nobody uses guns, because they have these shields and they interact badly. Apparently, like they can cause serious explosions if you were using like a las gun or whatever they describe it as, like because they're made of similar stuff. They interact and cause an explosion, which is not good. So, like, you can damage your own troops if you were using the same these two together. So that's why everybody's using swords and shields and stuff. It's that's very much like a hand wavy thing, but it makes for a really nice feeling sci-fi when you don't have everyone just going pew 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 all the time. Yeah, like that's a really great point of difference in Dune, and I think it makes for more interesting action sequences, so I'm thankful for it.
Yeah, speaking of the action sequences, how do you like these shields? The fact, like, if someone gets hit, you see blue light on them. If someone's in danger, that it goes red. Some people called it like two rock'em sock'em robots. People
That's
like
fair.
me thought it was a good way to keep track of what's going on.
Yeah, I think it's very helpful visually, because without it, I think it would be a little bit hard to follow a lot of the action sequences, especially the raid on the Arrakis, because that's all at night in very dark corridors. Like without the shields, I feel like you wouldn't really be able to tell much of what was going on at all. So yeah, I think they're great from a like filmmaking standpoint, visual standpoint. In general, I think they're probably a bad idea. Like, probably better just to use guns. But anyway, but you know, it makes for cool cinema and a cooler story.
Yeah.
So I'm for it overall.
I absolutely can't wait until you see the David Lynch version of these shields, by the way. I'm
hyped.
I need a live react, if anything.
Okay.
It's going to be good.
Sure. I'll do it. I'll set it up. Anyway. So they have like a bit of a sparring match where they're talking with each other. Again, this is where we have in the story in the book. This is where Gurney sings his wee song. But yeah, we don't have that here. And Gurney is like desperately trying to prepare Paul last minute. He feels like that as a family, they're walking into a trap because he knows he's like terrified of the Harkonnens because he's interacted with them before. Like he was part of this old feud, I think, or at least like knows the lasting effects of it and has warred with the Harkonnens before. And that they gave him the scar on his face in the story. So he's like fucking terrified of them and like desperately wants everyone to be prepared for what they're walking into. He is certain that there's going to be traps all over Arrakis, and they're not going to just leave them with zero resistance. That's not how it works. They have to dive in head first because that's the only way, effectively. And so he's really worried and is doing his best. Speaking of the Harkonnens, we cut to them now on Gadi Prime, their home world, which looks like a fucking brutalist nightmare realm of darkness. Fuck this place. I don't want to live here.
No wonder they're so angry.
Yeah, fucking hey. If you lived on this planet and you're like, your dad's covered in oil, you're going to turn out like Dave Bautista. That's just how it goes.
Yeah.
Anyway, we have him here, Glossu Raban, the Baron's nephew, is played by Dave Bautista, who's been overseeing like Arrakis up until now. And Paita, who is the Mentat for the Harkonnens. He's like the Thufir equivalent, who's played by David Desmalshane. How do you say this guy's name? He's great.
That sounds right.
He's a good character actor.
He's really having a moment. Like, he's popping up everywhere now.
Yeah.
I'm excited for him.
And
they're both like they're bald, they're painted white.
Yeah, like hairless.
They're like... Glossu Raban kind of looks like if Gollum got buff. Like, if someone let Gollum into the gym. And... like David Desmalshane's character looks like Pinhead from the Hellraiser films if he had to take all his pins out to go into the airport.
Yeah. Going through the metal detector. He is not magnetic. And yes, we also have the Baron himself, Baron Vladimir Harkonnen, as played by the incomparable Stellan Skarsgård, who fucking crushes it. He is terrifying in this movie.
Yeah.
He's wearing this like insane prosthetic body because the Baron is this enormous, like corpulent person, just like a huge baby man, who is like just so menacing and so scary. He's got these in the story, I think they're like covering most parts of his body, but he has these metal stabilizers that hold his body together because he's so huge. And you see them like across his spine, which add an extra layer of terrifying. And yeah, he's in this like sort of steam sauna realm for this introduction. So you just
buck naked and scheming.
You just sort of see like the back of his head for most of this like plotting sort of zone. But this is the introduction, and they are sinister as hell.
Yeah. There's a real vibe with David Desmoshan's character in the book where you kind of get the Baron's point of view, and he's just like, this fucking guy. Like, he sounds like he's really like a little too much for the Baron.
Yeah.
And this film kind of tones him back quite a lot. He just kind of seems like a, my liege kind of character.
Yes.
And it's all to make the Baron like that much more otherworldly and menacing.
That was an on-purpose choice as well, to make the Baron more of like a threatening antagonist for this, because in the book he's much more like, this is the plan, and it's more of like a political thing that he's overseeing from the outside. He's not this like looming threat like he is in the movie, very much so.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah.
So yeah, that was an important difference, to make him more of like not like a stereotypical villain, but more threatening as a presence. And I think that was an important point of difference. So. Yeah.
Yeah. He makes me think a lot, like, let's say you saw The Godfather way too young and had nightmares. This is how you get the Baron.
Absolutely.
Like, the Godfather himself.
Yeah. That sounds right. Yeah, he speaks in this, like, very low, scary voice. Yeah, he's great. Basically, Raban's really pissed off that that Arrakis has been given to the Atreides. He sees it as, like, a betrayal by the Emperor and is, like, fucking furious about it, but he's like, the other two are saying, hold your horses there, Dave. It's not as bad as you think. When is a gift not a gift is what he says, because effectively there's a grand scheme between the Harkonnens and the Emperor, who are trying to set them up for a fall.
And speaking of a grand, as the Baron kind of turns to camera and says, when is a gift not a gift, we get the first cha-ching of money by Pink Floyd.
Big money behind this. Yeah. Perhaps. But yeah, it's very funny that we get very little information here, and we see that more of the story play out. There's more dramatic tension in this movie than in the book, because in the book, right on his introduction, we get the full scheme laid out.
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, this is going to happen, and this is going to happen, and then this is going to happen, and this is why this is happening, and there you go. It's like, what? That was like the whole movie. Why are you telling me the full plan? It's like the villain gives you their, like, and here's how I did it speech before any of it happened. Like, it's really weird, but...
and it's like the second scene in the whole book as well, so... Like, I don't know how I'd be handling Dune if I hadn't seen the movie first. Like, I don't know how I could have dealt with the entire scheme of these worlds I did not understand being just laid out to me.
The book itself is so dense. It, like, it has so many new ideas and words that it is throwing at you, and you've got to catch up or you are missing the train. Like, that is that is how that goes. It's like, it is... very strong world building, and everything it feels like there's a real sense of place in the story, and that's why Dune is so successful. Like, it feels like a very lived in world, but because of that, there's so much like minutia and little pieces that you have to catch, and in the beginning of the book, it's hitting you with all of them and explaining none of them. So yeah. It's tough, especially the opening chapters. But anyway, we go to another scary scene, because on Caladan, we've got a group of the Bene Gesserit are arriving on a ship, making a special trip, specifically to administer a test to Paul. His mum comes and wakes him up, and like is clearly rattled by their arrival, like freaking out and doing her best to like hold herself together. As she goes to take him, like prepares him for this interaction, and gives him like a physical examination by Dr. Yue, who is a character who's yet to be introduced, who is played by Chang Chen. And yeah, he's like a like medical man, affected, like it's similar to a mentat except trained in medicine and the human body and condition. And yeah, they're their own thing in the book as well, where they have like defining features are they have a diamond tattooed on their forehead, and their hair is kept in a special ring. I can't remember their name off the top of my head. These doctors, they have a special group name. So get at me, Dune nerds.
That'd be such a weird, like, you've admitted you don't know it. You've given us so much information. If people like are coming at you on Twitter now,
yeah,
like,
right.
it's called this. Like,
I mean,
I could have. Okay. He just didn't know.
Yeah, I just think it's cool that they match these details in the movie as well. Like he has a diamond tattoo on his forehead, and I'm like, nice, very good. But yeah, Yue's also like portrayed very well, I think, because he's an extremely complicated character, as we're going to find out. But yeah, he gives Paul this like physical examination and gives him a little bit of a warning that the Bene Gesserit serve their own designs, and he doesn't know what they want from him, and to be careful, basically. And his mum speaks to him in a little sign language, which is a new thing for this movie as well. Like gives him a final warning at the door saying to like remember his training in the Bene Gesserit stuff. And yeah, that was another conscious choice by Denis to add this like secret language between Paul and Jessica that they have.
Yeah. It saves a lot because like the book gives you everyone's internal monologues.
Yeah.
And like that would be so confusing in a film.
Oh my God.
I mean, it's kind of at least you've got like they thought, but like you'd be like, who can read minds? Why can they read minds?
Yeah.
And just to be able to sum it up simply with like secret languages is just
much
nice
easier.
and elegant. And also speaks quite a lot to the mother-son relationship as well. Like,
yeah,
they've
definitely.
hang out, they've learned a whole language betwixt each other.
Yeah. That's good. And yeah, he enters the lion's den here over the descending scale in the money solo to add the drama. And yeah, goes to meet the Reverend Mother, Helen Moheim, as played by Charlotte Rampling, who I don't know much about, but is very scary in this movie.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I'll talk about bit about the Bene Gesserit now, I guess, because they're like the group behind this. Jessica's a member. They are this like cabal of religious types that also influence the politics and pull the strings behind the scenes of the emperor and dealings between the houses. And they have their own like plot and path for humanity that they are pushing.
Yeah.
And yeah, they're sort of guiding everyone behind the scenes as these advisors and historians. And they like have a lot of knowledge about like the before times in the story. And yeah, they also have that power of the voice, so they sort of can mind control people. Yeah, they're terrifying. They're scary folks. And they've got like huge influence over people as their weapon, I would say.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. It's like everyone knows that they're influencing the world, but then I think their abilities and knowledge, they're just like, well, we'll let them do that.
Yeah. They're like too well protected and too like intertwined with everything that's happened. Like they're hard to get at, I would say. Like it would be amazing to go to war against the Bene Gesserit because like they're so entwined with what this society is, you know, and how it got here. Like they had,
it'd be like going to war against money.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Destroying capitalism is like similar kind of ideal. But yeah, like their plot going forward is they are basically using eugenics weirdly to like craft a messiah, like craft this like crossbreed of all the houses and all the races and someone that has their powers to guide humanity to a better future is what they believe in doing. And also like preparing the world for that eventuality is also part of it.
Yeah.
So they like weave their religion into different worlds all over, and they have done so on Arrakis specifically. So we'll see that. But yeah, pretty interesting as a group.
Oh yeah, it's a huge concept to have in a film and book already filled with like the hugest concepts.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I'm very nervous to repeat my friend Aidan O'Donnell's joke. It is...
Please, I'm ready.
Okay. Benny Gesserit.
It's great. Oh, yeah. I love it. I love it.
So I've just come back from camping. He walked past me on the campground singing that song. I lost it. And yeah, he said he's been singing it ever since he saw the movie, and now he's read the whole book, and he just sings it around the house, and his whole flat sing it. And in a way, he is the Benny Gesserit of that
think
flat,
so.
like slowly influencing them.
He's got that joke religion. God damn.
Yeah.
Impressive. He's weaving. He's the puppet master of that flat for sure. I love that.
The Benny Gesserit just needed to use more jokes and have more control.
Just a bit of levity, guys. Enough with the fucking wearing all black and arriving only in rain, please. Anyway.
Lady Jessica doing a tight 5 stand-up.
Oh, man. I love it.
And my son, Mr. 15, because it's always, parent humor is always Mr. and then their age. You know?
Mr. 15.
Can't even pass the drink without getting the voice right. This is all workshopping. Should get it right.
She's working on it. Yeah, we've got... So, it's time for the test. She, uses the voice on Paul immediately, bringing him over, making him kneel before her. But does this test for humanity, effectively, is the goal of this test. It's a bit more nuanced in the book than in the movie. It's very hard to convey what is actually happening here.
Yeah.
Because it seems like there's this torturous thing happening. But it's very important as to what is going on. Effectively, Paul has to put his hand inside this box, which he does so. And as he does that, the Reverend Mother moves very quickly and holds a needle to his neck. The Gom Jabbar, a needle coated in a deadly poison. And if he moves even an inch, she will jam it into his neck and he'll die. All he has to do to pass the test is keep his hand in the box for an indeterminate amount of time. When your hand is in the box, you suffer incredible building pain, more and more layered pain upon you. And she gives this short speech about humanity versus animals, where effectively an animal caught in a trap will try and bite it will gnaw its own arm off to free itself before suffering the pain of the trap and bring itself a painful death, whereas a human would stay in the trap and try and kill the hunter, lie in wait and endure and try and get one over on the person who has trapped you, is the idea. Effectively, yeah. So humans versus animals is a very important thing to the Bene Gesserit. They see the general populace effectively as livestock, where true humans are those who have the power to choose and have and can endure a test similar to this. They have the real stuff, right?
Yeah.
And so it's a very it's a very dark sequence with Paul enduring this horrible test, and Jessica is outside having a terrible time because she has endured this test as well in the past, and she is just openly weeping, and she recites the quote from Dune, the Litany Against Fear, which is a maxim of the Bene Gesserit, and like a story kind of thing. It's a very good quote, and it's actually like really, really useful for calming one's nerves. Like there are genuine like benefits to this story. Effectively, it's like weirdly positive. Is the outpouring from this quote, in my opinion, anyway.
Yeah, no, absolutely. The Bene Gesserit benefit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I like that. Yeah.
I would love to get a lovely throw pillow that says, "I must not fear. Fear is the mind killer."
Yeah. Oh, man.
Just to calm me down.
Should I read the whole thing? I have it here.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's I must not fear. Fear is the mind killer. Fear is the little death that brings total obliteration. I will face my fear. I will permit it to pass over me and through me. And when it has gone past, I will turn the inner eye to see its path. Where the fear has gone, there will be nothing. Only I will remain. Which is, it's a perfect little maxim for like not letting fear control you, and to like learn not only like accept that it is happening, but also to like learn from it and to push past it. It's so good. It's such a great line. But yeah.
Yeah, that second half especially is so useful.
Yeah, I will turn the inner eye to see its path.
Yeah.
Where the fear has gone, there will be nothing. Oh, it's so good. But yeah, so Paul, he endures this pain, and like as this quote is like recited, effectively this maxim, and he's like stares into the Reverend Mother's eyes, and he is seeing like various visions of potential futures, because he has these dreams, and this is part of his powers. And yeah, we see visions of fire and explosions and a scorched hand in the desert.
Yeah.
Which is terrifying. And yeah, effectively he passes the test and proved himself to be more human than bestial in nature. And there you go. And right on the cue here, we go into us and them. So, you know.
Yeah.
That's a pretty clear dichotomy between us and them, you know. That's what the Bene Gesserit are all about.
Absolutely. Us and them has the most Bene Gesserit concept of like, forward he cried and the front rank died. The general side and the maps and the line moved from side to side. Like, that's what they're doing. They're at the back. They're, just kind of guiding us like, yeah, you guys can die, but their plans are measured in centuries.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they have a little bit of talk about his dreams, and then she heads off. Like, she was really here just to like figure out who this person was, because they had, as she's leaving, her and Jessica have a chat about, effectively, she is scolding her for having Paul in the first place. The Bene Gesserit are all women, and they, their planned messiah that they intend to have is a male, and like effectively by having a male son, it's considered an act of arrogance in the Bene Gesserit, but like, you thought to make yourself the messiah, the, what is it? Kwisatz Haderach? So hard to say. Kwisatz Haderach.
There's a lot of different names for the messiah as well.
I'm just going to say messiah just because it's easier. But yeah, so she like scolds her for that, and yeah, it's pretty sad. And like, as she leaves, Paul has like overheard this conversation. Where do we go now? God, there's so much. They're ready to go. That's what's happening next. They're ready to leave. There's ships emerging out of the water. This is one of the loud bits that my dad didn't like. There's a bit with like Paul wandering around Caladan and like remembering his planet because he won't be able to come back here.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, just leaving your beautiful planet for one that's completely alien to you, and he's like only read about in his weird hologram book.
That you're constantly told is going to be the worst place.
Yeah, right? Jeez, not a good time.
Meanwhile, you're up hanging out in space Scotland and could be staying there eating space haggis. Like, oh.
Man, delicious. only the finest. Yeah, so there's a bit of like a touching moment between the Duke and Jessica as well in the Great Hall as they're like packing away all their belongings to go. And then from here we just like travel to Arrakis through the big gate thing and touch down on the desert surface. There's like a door opening right at the end of Us and Them, flooding the hangar with light. Like the old man died and they're just like all getting coated in this beautiful light, which is quite nice.
Yeah.
And then, we go into Any Colour and they proceed out with like a guy on the bagpipes again, Scotland, here we go. Like, heralding their arrival effectively on the planet. And Thufir's here to greet them. And he's been preparing the city for their arrival. And they get their like first look at the area, and there's a bunch of Fremen hanging out on the outskirts, all wrapped up in headscarves, covering them head to toe. And they're like calling things out to Paul and Jessica in their language, so we don't understand what's happening here. But it's explained once they get into one of the dropships that they are effectively they have been following this religion that the Bene Gesserit have been like seeding here for ages, and they think that Paul's and Jessica's arrival heralds this Messiah arriving, like the savior of the Fremen. So pretty clear stuff.
It's interesting because it does it does raise the idea that this could just be a like self-fulfilling prophecy. Like you tell enough people that's the Messiah, they're going to follow him.
Yeah, exactly, right?
Yeah.
It's Build-A-Bear Messiah. Like the Bene Gesserit have like made this happen. It's really and the movie's sort of about that in a way. It's like what happens if you like create a religion and like drill it into people and see what happens, you know? Especially a group that's like so heavily oppressed by this other faction. Like what happens to when you drive religious fanaticism to its like nth degree. It's interesting.
And then just choose like a 15-year-old with great bone structure to be your Messiah. What's going to happen?
What will happen? Let's find out after the break. So they get in these really cool looking dragonfly dropship things called ornithopters. I love them. They are one of the things that have been like illustrated heavily from the book. They're great. They're exactly what you would think. They're helicopters that fly like dragonflies, and they're really well done in this movie.
Was your dad happy with these? Both
extremely.
As a book fan, and then also how loud they were.
He was very happy with the ornithopters. They weren't too loud. They were louder parts. So we're flying across the desert landscape to the city. Arrakis is where they're going to be staying. It's like this little, fairly smaller, like sort of fortress city out here, an outpost kind of city. The main city where the Harkonnens was a different one, apparently, where they set up shop. So this is a sort of spice collecting outpost on Arrakis. They do a bit of surveying out here through some binoculars, and we get a look at that big old moon, baby. There's 2 moons for Arrakis.
Pink Floyd could not even imagine.
I know. There's one really big one with a big hand on it. Where it's like scored into it from like a meteor crash or something. It looks great. They go on inside and like talking about the key areas they need to protect. Like the spaceport and the spice refinery are the 2 main things, because that's how they can survive. That's like the way they will make money and be able to continue to exist on Arrakis. As they need that to be, the spice must flow, Gareth, is what I'm trying to say. We go, Jessica is choosing her house servant, which is another huge deal in the book. But isn't really here. She picks the Shadout Mapes out of the lineup, who is a Fremen woman, and she has like this gift for Jessica if she turns out to be, quote, the one, and has to complete a test where she's offering the blade to her, which is a crysknife, and asks her what it represents, and Jessica says that it's a maker, and before she can finish like her sentence, she gets cut off by an exaltation from Mapes, who like screams in like religious fervor. Basically, she's like, "Yes, that is a maker. That's exactly right," and gives her the blade. And it's made of a tooth of Shai Hulud, the sandworm, Gareth, who are revered as like heralds of the gods, basically among the Fremen people. Or gods themselves.
Yeah, this is... All of them are called that, right? This isn't the name of a specific sandworm?
No. Shai Hulud is the, like, effectively them as a... Like, the sandworms as a concept to the Fremen. It's, like, their name for them as a...
Okay, cool.
As a thing on their planet, you know? Yeah. It's like a weather event, more so than anything. You know, a fact of life. Yeah. They are awesome. This little... sorry.
Oh, you go.
No, you.
It's really cool that it's explained more in the book that she was going to say it's a maker and then keep going.
Yeah.
And because she's cut off, again, the Shadout Mapes has, fulfilled her own prophecy.
Yes.
She's, like, forced what she wanted to hear into being what she hears.
Exactly. It's the kind of thing that would be really hard to explain or show in a film, but they do match it like exactly how it plays out in the story. So like if you know what's up, then you know what's up. But otherwise, she just gets a cool blade, you know?
Yeah.
We get another bit with these 20 trees outside the palace grounds here, or the fortress grounds, which are these like palm trees that are being tended to. And Paul's out here wandering around the grounds, and there's a like Fremen caretaker guy taking care of these trees, and effectively gives a lesson here. He talks about how these trees take the water every day of 100 men. There are 20 trees, and each tree would have 5 men's worth of water. So effectively, these trees are taking the lives of potential Fremen, but they are worshipped as sacred, and they must be protected in spite of this. It's like laying in how important water as like alongside the spice is so valuable on Arrakis. Like water is like the other major resource of the planet because of its scarcity. Like the spice is sacred and true element of the planet as well, and that's like more of a religious overtone for the Fremen, but the water is the real value here. The spice is like abundant and worshipped through that, whereas the water is very rare and worshipped for that. Exactly. So again, like comparing that like fuel analogy, where like it's the scarce resource of water versus this the spice being used for interstellar travel, and also being so revered as like it's like the one thing that they're there for, but like water is the real thing that is keeping that going. It's an interesting dichotomy, but we're getting some sandworm lore, because we get that tree stuff. We're right at the end of the first playthrough of the album, and we're going into Speak to Me and playthrough 2, baby, for sandworm lore. We get a bit of watching. He's watching more holograms, Paul is, and
of course
he's watching Fremen do the sand walk, which is this hot new dance craze sweeping Arrakis, where you walk without rhythm and you won't attract the the worm, Gareth. I believe Weapon of Choice by Fatboy Slim. Huge hit on Arrakis. What a song.
Like I said, it's the summer of June. Everyone in the clubs is doing the sand walk.
Yeah, man.
Or maybe they just all got terrible rhythm, but...
Hard to say. No one's watching except the worms, man. They're watching.
We never talk about the huge worms that lie beneath every nightclub, just hoping that the rhythm, stays just out enough.
The rhythm takes them.
Pop up.
They will enrage and devour the club if the vibe ain't right. That's true. Those damn club worms.
Oh man, they've got like bright neon singlets on, little whistles around their necks.
I love them now.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. He's looking into it's like a wildlife documentary that we're watching as we see like a little mouse hanging out in some like bracken trees. There's very little life out on Arrakis other than the sandworms. Only very small creatures can survive, and then the Fremen. And that's it. Like, it must be really tough out there. Are they all eating these voles or whatever? Like, that's all they got? I guess they're probably cultivating things in the caverns. Anyway, we'll get there. But yes, this hologram is interrupted by a hunter-seeker, a very cool thing. This sequence is great in the book, by the way. It's this tiny little robot thing, little airborne remote control drone that bores a hole through the huge relief of fish that's in Paul's room, and is hunting around trying to kill Paul. And it's this effectively it's like a tiny little dart on the end of a helicopter, and it will kill him instantly if it touches him, but its vision is based on movement rather than anything else. So if Paul moves, it will fly straight into him and kill him instantly. And also, so he's got to stand very still, and there's heightened tension here. And he doesn't have his shield on. He looks over to his shield, which is sitting next to him as he was watching the documentary. And it's very, it's tense. And then suddenly Mapes comes into the room. Shout out Mapes, who is the house servant at this stage. And he saves her by catching the hunter seeker out of the air and slamming it into the wall, stopping her getting killed because it was going to slam into her. And she's like, "Oh shit, you saved me, thank you." Thufir investigates the house, and they find the body of a Harkonnen who is hidden in the wall, embedded in there, who was controlling this hunter seeker. Pretty messed up. He was gonna take him out as this hidden assassin. Imagine hanging out for that long. Duncan Idaho's been on the planet for 2 weeks or something. This guy's just been in the wall for that long. What the fuck? Anyway.
Yeah. Oh god. Imagine all the stuff you'd have to overhear living in your enemy's wall.
Right? Oh, the worst.
Imagine my enemy living in my wall, listening to me record this podcast.
Oh my god. He's ready to bore that hunter seeker through the wall at any stage.
Yeah. Just like I bored him.
Yeah. But he's got to wait for the end of the podcast because you don't move. So,
exactly.
He can't find you.
And he's got to know how Dune syncs up with Pink Floyd's 1973 magnum opus, The Dark Side of the Moon.
He's got to know.
He's invested now.
Yeah.
An hour and a half deep.
Yeah. Oh my god, we are. We cut to the Harkonnens with their very after this assassination by them, with their very upsetting leather person pet monster. I hate this.
Yeah.
The Harkonnens later on describe their torture that they do is described as taking a person apart like a doll. And I believe this is the kind of result. This is the shit that they're into. making amalgams of people.
Oh,
Not a great vibe. Very.
No, I just thought it was like a space spider, but that is
No.
upsetting.
That's a human being or several put together, I would say. It's some kind of horrible mutant that they've created. Yeah, they're fucked up.
Yeah.
Anyway, they're like, no, it's fine. We've got a cool... This is their dog.
Yeah.
Anyway, the Reverend Mother is here, and she's like, hey, don't kill Paul and Jessica in this huge coup that you're staging and I know about but didn't warn anyone about. And she's saying, spare them because they're important to our plans. We don't care what you do to the Duke or the rest of the Atreides, but please, like, at least spare their lives. And it's quite hilarious that this is following an assassination attempt on Paul. Anyway, so the Baron agrees. He's like, yeah, I will keep my word. I would never betray your order. We will not harm them. Oh, he says, I will not harm them, specifically, actually. And over this, Pink Floyd sing Race Towards an Early Grave at the end of Breathe. Hey.
Hey.
And yeah, but after, so she heads off satisfied that she has his word, and he's like, nah, they're all gonna fucking die.
Yeah.
It's like, all the Atreides will die. He's like, I said that I wouldn't kill them, but Arrakis is a very dangerous place. The desert takes the weak, is what he says. And yeah, and then he hovers menacingly into the air, which is something I'm pretty sure he doesn't do in the book, but I do love.
I think he does. Simply
Does
because
he?
he hovers in the other movie as well.
Fuck
But,
yeah.
oh my gosh, I didn't realize he was hovering when I first saw it. And I was just like, he has the longest legs.
Yeah, incredible. No, he's got this enormous like train on his outfit where it just dangles down below his hovering body. He's very scary,
so
very
cool.
imposing. But yeah, effectively he's doing the classic like, well, I said that I wouldn't kill them, but if the desert kills them, then not my fault.
Yeah. Like, I didn't shoot him, the bullet killed him, kind of stuff.
Exactly. Yeah. Guns don't kill people. Anyway.
Yeah.
Paul sits in with a meeting with the generals, and then they go and check out the spice stores that they have left, which isn't very much. The Harkonnens have left them basically nothing, so they need to get that operational as soon as possible. Duncan returns. Duncan Idaho shows up. He's been hanging out with the Fremen and gives a report about what's been going on with them. Basically says that there's a huge amount of Fremen, like way more than the Harkonnens estimated, and they are an incredibly powerful people. Basically, he was like trying to find them, but they were stalking him the entire time, and he eventually fought one of their assassins and nearly died. But yeah, he's been among the people, and he very much values them, and he's brought an ambassador from them to like effectively like negotiate or at least meet with Duke Leto, the new leader here. So and it's Stilgar, as played by Javier Bardem, who is great as well.
He's so good in this, and like sort of unrecognizable. I mean, he's still clearly him, but something about those blue eyes and the fact I don't know, he's deep in this role, and I'm loving it.
Yeah, he's very strong, and also just like not one to suffer ceremony is his whole vibe. He's like a very different kind of leader to the Atreides, and I think that's important. And also the Harkonnens, obviously, but he's a very different kind of leader, which I think is great. So he comes here and is sort of sizing up what the Atreides are about, and the Duke like apologizes for how the Harkonnens treated them, and he's like, if there's anything I can do for you, I will do it if it's within my power. And he's like, fucking leave us alone. That's all we want. Please do not murder us and hunt us. And it's like, yeah, I'm not gonna. I will intrude into your lands to harvest the spice as we have done. I'm sorry, that's why we're here, but we won't ever into the steeches, which is their homes in the caverns. They are theirs, and they won't hunt them so long as they there's an uneasy truce effectively negotiated between the two. There is a funny bit, another joke. Are you ready? Where he spits, and everyone's like, "Oh shit, this is an insult. It's about to kick off here in the meeting chamber," but it's actually a Fremen sign of endearment, where he is giving his body's moisture as an offering. So spitting on the ground is a noting someone else of power, effectively, or an honored greeting, which is pretty different. I don't know if that's a great lesson from this book.
Yeah,
just spitting on the ground.
It's also so bizarre to see these three, because Duncan spits and then the Duke spits as well.
Yeah,
see these three hugely respected actors, as completely as an anthropology kind of angle, just watching their spit style. It's super gross, but I cannot now forget. It's burned in my brain that Oscar Isaac kind of sprays when he spits out.
There you go. What's your spit style? That's the classic question. Oh my God.
It's so sad that we'll have to end this podcast and start the new podcast, What's Your Spit Style?
That is sad. Yeah.
Yeah. We just... nobody, it's all gotcha journalism. We're talking about the issues, but then we've got to know what their spit style is, and then that's the only thing we put on the show. It's
a podcast where we don't edit out any of the coughs or splutters, because that's part of the experience.
We edit in the coughs from other podcasts and what's your spit style.
Yes, we get all that good audio, the ASMR.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Ever wanted to hear Pete Holmes cough? We've got it.
Get him on here, just a cough, a guest spot.
Yeah.
Pete Holmes, please cough on our podcast. We'll play it on here. Yeah. Oh my God. It does make sense as a thing. He's giving his body's moisture. Yeah. It tracks as a part of this world,
Yeah.
But anyway, they look through, after this important meeting, the lads are hanging out in the shower room or whatever, looking at the Freeman tech that Duncan's brought back with him. There's a cool compass and a sand compactor, which we don't get to see for a little bit, but is a very cool device. And yeah, he's talking about how he really does admire the Fremen after staying with them. They are a very proud people and strong warriors, and that's what Duncan's all about. Hell yeah, he can get down with that.
It's cool. It's almost this is their James Bond Q scene. Just check out these gadgets we're going to use later.
Yeah, a little bit.
And
yeah. So from here, we're going on an excursion to look at some spice harvesting happening with Dr. Liet Kynes, who is a character who's notably gender swapped from the book. And is played by Sharon Duncan Brewster. And yeah, she is great as this ecology doctor person who is overseer of the change, is how she is described. She's independent, working for the Empire, the Emperor, and is overseeing this transition between the Harkonnens and the Atreides, and effectively, she's impartial. But is taking them on this excursion. She's brought them all still suits, which are these suits that recycle the body's water so that they can survive in the desert. It's a super important thing. Again, Fremen technology, very clever. And
apparently would not work in real life. Apparently it would just cook you like you're in a slow cooker or crock pot.
Oh, yeah. It would be awful. Yeah, 100%. But, Fremen's got that secret tech. It's powered by
exactly.
spice, maybe? I don't know. Who knows?
Who knows? It's 8,000 years in the future. We figure it out.
We'll figure it out. It's fine. There's plenty of time so that we don't slow cook for 8,000 years, all right?
Yeah.
It'll be okay. That'd be a very, very decadent meat, though. A stew for that long.
8,000 years
oh my
slow
God.
cooker.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's like putting a mummy in a crock pot. That's what's going on there. Anyway, from that mental image, we are going out to see the spice being harvested. There is a very brief thing actually where Paul has put on his still suit without any help because it's part of his cool Messiah stuff. You will know their ways even though you are new to them. Anyway, continuing on. We're flying out to see the harvester in action in these cool ornithopters again. And as we get home again in the tempo change in time, we're just seeing the dunes of Arrakis, which is their new home, you know? So that's a pretty sweet sync. And
and far away across the field as we pan across the desert.
Yeah, exactly. And we see the harvester in the distance, and then we're going into Great Gig, which is it's this huge box on tank treads that is out here harvesting. It's weirdly different from the harvesters that we saw the Harkonnens using. I don't know what's going on. Maybe they've just left them with all the shit ones.
It sounds like it.
Yeah, potentially. But so there are these other little ships that are flying around, buzzing around, watching for worm sign, worms on the horizon, who always are drawn by the rhythmic sounds of the harvesting. The whir of the machine always attracts the worm. So it's always very, very dangerous to be harvesting spice, but it's just part of it. So I imagine throughout the day, these harvesters are lifted up into the air by the balloons and the worms will go away and then they sit down and harvest a bit more and it just happens all the fucking time, over and over and over again. And that's why everyone is so chill when they spot a worm approaching on the horizon. And they're like, okay. They send out a call via radio for the one of these balloon things to come. They're called, what are they called? Carryalls is what they're called. These big balloon things, and it comes down to try and lift the harvester off the ground, but one of the clamps doesn't connect, and so they're fucked. Basically, they send out an emergency call for a carryall to come and pick them up, but there's none in the area, and so they have to act quickly. And Duke's like, "Fuck the spice. We've got to save the people on that harvester," because that's who he is as a person. The harvester people are like, we've got a load of spice. We're not abandoning it. That's how they are so used to operating out here. And so they're like, what are you talking about? Why are you coming to save us? Really confused by it. And so there's 21 people aboard the harvester that have to be saved. It's a very dramatic moment. Paul and Gurney hop down onto the sands to try and rally the people and get them to the right place. But Paul has not been out in the desert proper until now. He's just been in the grounds of the city, and every time a sandstorm comes, they hide inside. So he really hasn't been out here, and immediately starts having a reaction to the spice in the air. It starts tripping out, having visions. He starts hearing the voices of the Bene Gesserit elders in his ears, speaking of prophecies to him. Terrifying. He just sort of goes into a trance and freezes and falls to his knees in front of the harvester. Everyone else is making a mad dash for safety. And Gurney realizes that Paul isn't among them anymore, and runs to go and save him. And wakes him up from this trance that he's in, and they run away together and start like sinking into the sand because the worm is just approaching and vibrating the whole area. The sand is shifting beneath them, which is just such a great effect. I have no idea how they did this, but fuck, it looks good. So scary. And yeah, they, with no time to spare, get on board the ornithopter, and then they watch as this huge mouth appears around this already enormous harvester. We just saw it in context, and it just like encapsulates and eats it in this like it just falls into it like Sarlacc pit, but times 1,000. This thing is massive. And yeah,
we kind of barely get a look at it.
Yeah, we just see its mouth. It's like it's got like teeth that similar to blue whale, I would say, like these long hair-like teeth, I would say. Just because it's so massive, I suppose. And it just eats this huge metal structure and does not give a fuck. Like, surely there's nothing in that for the worm. It just like it comes and eats it, and that's it. Like because it was moving out here. That's it. He must destroy it. But yeah.
The amount of sand this thing would have had to eat in order to get to what it wants to eat. It's like,
I don't know.
If I wanted the icing on a cake, on a little cupcake, and decided to eat the entire table first, just to get that icing.
It's true. I imagine they don't care.
So
it's just
full of
like
sand.
It's just part of it, you know? Like when you're eating a potato and it's got like a little bit of dirt on it or something, and you're like, well, you know, like, the worm don't care. In other depictions, they do have like big, like tri-fold kind of mouths which fold up. So presumably, when they're burrowing underground, they don't just have their mouth open all the time. They have like they can actually close their mouths when they are traveling. It's just that you wouldn't see it, you know, like.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah, because they're underground. So they narrowly escape, and Leto, once they get back, Leto tries to like say, "What the fuck was that?" to Kynes, and then Kynes is like, "No, this is just how this goes. Like the desert is not kind to equipment and technology, and things will degrade over time. This wasn't a deliberate like attack by the Harkonnens. This is just like how the world is here." And she also says that the desert is not kind to people either, and that the Duke should protect his family. And it's like vaguely threatening, but also just like a legit warning. Yeah, because it's a very dangerous place in a lot of ways. Paul gets like a once-over by Dr. Yue again, who says that he has a heightened sensitivity to the spice's effects, effectively like an allergy to it. Or at least that's what they think. But presumably this is actually because of his like nature tied to the religion of the Messiah, etc. Like he's having these visions brought on by the spice in a more powerful way because of his Bene Gesserit upbringing. It's hard to say which is true. Maybe it's a mixture of both. But anyway, we get to see some of his fairly intense visions that he saw. Again, he saw the girl on Arrakis that he always sees, and she leads him into the caverns. And they have a moment together where she draws him into a kiss and then stabs him with a crysknife. He says aloud, "I thought I saw my own death, only it wasn't. Someone will hand me a blade." And as he says that, we see an image of Jessica, who is covered in like facial tattoos and has the glowing blue eyes of the Fremen, and she's holding a baby as well. And to which...
Yeah, and the wall behind her matches her facial tattoos.
Yeah.
Which is just cool.
It's a very cool image.
And
he says that he knows that she is also with child, and she's like, what the fuck, how do you know that? Like, I only barely know that. Like, the Duke doesn't know, nobody knows. It's wild. That yeah, but Spice be like that, man. It's got the powers. It's good stuff. Get that Spice melange. Hi, I'm James speaking.
That's why they make Pure Blue, whatever it's called, out of Spice.
Oh, what is that?
Isn't that? Do you not get that YouTube ad?
No,
it's not called Pure Blue. It's called something else. But it's like, it's not a good ad because I can't remember what it's called. But it's this like 5-second ad that's just like Clear Blue, ding. And it's like the best effective pregnancy test.
Oh, whoa. Okay.
And then you get to watch your like skateboard fails or whatever.
No. No, I don't get that ad. But I also was just about to launch into an ad for the Spice Melange as if it was like a product you could buy. So.
Oh, please do. We desperately need the sponsor.
No, that's all.
So,
No,
2 hours on.
I can't explain the joke and then do it. That's not going to happen. I'm sorry.
That's almost the way Dune is written, though, right? Like,
yeah, a little bit.
We'll explain what's going to happen and then we'll do it.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
From here we go to Salusa Secundus, the Imperial prison planet, Gareth. A desolate waste. It's another fucking scary place. Rumored home of the Sardaukar, who are the warrior force of the Empire. Effectively, these are the guys employed by the Emperor. And they are just like... The story of the Sardaukar is that they are these prisoners from this prison planet that like prove themselves through countless like infighting and battles in this horrible prison world to become an elite fighting force. It's like so fucking scary. But they are compared a lot to the Fremen, as they are like products of their environment, right? The Fremen are these powerful warriors that were forged in this like nightmare world, and the Sardaukar are very similar. So yeah, that's the vibe.
Yeah, it is terrifying, that idea. Like,
we
built this prison, made it the worst thing ever, and it's simply to train our like future army.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's like more of just like a happy accident that like you've got like the worst prison planet ever, and also like, oh, actually it builds super soldiers, so sweet.
I mean, it's a good way to justify, like, if you ran that prison and you had to go to your boss and be like, everyone's killed each other. But you could then go like, but the plus side is the one guy who killed everyone is now real swole.
Yeah.
Like, do you want him?
He could be your bodyguard. So
trust him.
The Harkonnens are out here gathering 3 battalions of Sardaukar for their coup that they're about to do out on Arrakis. They're coming in. They're allying with the Emperor to destroy the Atreides, effectively. And yeah, shit is messed up on this planet in more ways than one. We see in the background that there's like people strung up upside down and being like drained of their blood, and that is being like anointed onto the heads of these warriors as some kind of like ceremony. It's fucking dark. These guys, they're having a bad time out here. You thought the Harkonnens were fucked up. Welcome to prison planet Salusa Secundus. You know?
Oh, yeah. It is like, I mean, how are you going to one-up these creepy, bald, sad boys? Oh, don't worry. Pour some blood on some new creepy, sad boys.
Yeah. It's just a team up of the sad boys, so, it makes sense. The alliance makes sense. Anyway.
I need an army of the saddest boys.
We get, like, a final interaction between Jessica and Leto here, who have, like, an argument, effectively, about the paths laid out before Paul, where Jessica's been training him in the ways of the Bene Gesserit, and Leto needs him to be his heir. But together they share that he is their son. So they like are pulling him in these 2 separate directions, but also like very deeply care for him. And so, he like levels this demand at her to take care of Paul from the perspective of the Bene Gesserit person rather than his wife and mother to his son, which is like very dark. And yeah, they sort of let that business kind of facade fall, and yeah, they have a bit of a moment together, which is just as well because things are about to kick off. Yue goes and delivers like a little pill to Paul, presumably for his allergy to the spice, his reaction to the spice, and to help him sleep. And yeah, there's more going on there. And yeah, there's a moment where we see the Duke and Lady Jessica in bed together, where they're like, she's like cradling his head in her lap. It's very sweet. Honestly, like
he relaxes on Arrakis.
Yeah, man, hell yeah. Maxin and relaxin on Araxin.
Macus and Arrakis. Oh no, I've lost it. Macus and relaxus on Arrakis.
We got there. There it is. And yeah, they're having a nice time together when suddenly the guards outside their palace are killed, like shot with darts, and they die. And we see these in the distance, some like strange ships are touching down in the darkness. And the power is cut to the palace, and the shields are dropped across the city. And yeah, it's betrayal time, baby. Someone has betrayed them from within. And yeah, Leto wakes up from his sleep and sees outside there's like a strange light outside. The palace has gone dark, and yeah, he sees like a strange sort of skirmish on the edge, some kind of flashing light, which is unusual. And yeah, he calls out to his security team through like a little earpiece thing that he has, but no one responds. And he goes down to the stairs, and we see the Shadout Mapes has been stabbed through the chest with an Arrakis, not an Arrakis, a Atreides sword, and he is shot in the back by this like homing dart thing that like burrows through his shield, pressing further and further and further, and then eventually pierces through. And yeah, it's a sort of sedative dart, which like immobilizes him but doesn't kill him. And who shot the dart? It was Dr. Yue. There he is, the betrayer.
Yeah. Oh.
Who could have seen it coming?
If you'd read the book, they tell you it's coming quite a lot.
Yeah, like chapter 2, they're like, Yue's the betrayer. And you're like, what? Yeah. Okay. Anyway, Gurney wakes up and goes to he sees Harkonnens coming in and moves to defend the city. As Pink Floyd is singing about what the fighting's all about, we get like a massive explosion in the middle of the city as well. Oh, it's scary. They're dropping these like very slow moving bombs from the overhead ships. They like land on top of the shield, bore their way through, and then explode. It's such a cool visual. Just the way they get around these shields, like the weaponry that's used. They have these like crazy unguided like carpet bomb missiles that they use, but they don't go through the shields. Yeah. So they have all these other ways around getting through shields, which is really interesting. And yeah,
it is really cool to like invent something and then kind of figure out the holes in what you've invented, and then invent stuff that would have been invented in that world to go around
exactly, yeah. It's like a good way of like just visual problem solving. It looks sweet as well. Like it makes for a really cool visual, so I love that.
The explosion's kind of trapped within their own shield.
Yeah. Oh, looks really good before like bursting out as the shield dissipates. Yeah, Gurney, like a fucking badass, like rallies the troops and just goes into battle. Like in just like regular dress, just puts his like shield on, completely unarmored, and is just like, fuck yeah, let's get it going. And just starts fighting people on the ground, fighting Harkonnens. What a boss. Meanwhile, these ships fly over and make an assault on the fortress itself. We see Harkonnens like fighting up the stairs against like a phalanx of Atreides soldiers, who are so well trained, and this like sequence is really cool. But they get flanked from behind by the Sardaukar. It's quite contrived in that like there are these two forces on either side of them pinning them down. Like that's a little bit ham-fisted, but it does look really good. So
it's like a glazed ham-fisted.
Yeah,
it's a good-looking ham.
I mean, I'll eat it.
It's still ham.
Yeah,
That's
still ham. So the Duke is like awake but frozen, and Yue apologizes to him for betraying the Atreides, and explains that the Harkonnens had captured his wife, Awana is her name, and were torturing her horribly. And he had to bargain with them to buy her freedom, and Leto is the price. But he's not leaving them empty-handed. He says he's going to do what he can for Paul, takes Duke Leto's ring, like appealing to his sense of legacy, effectively, saying that like he's going to look after his heir if he can, even though like this is like very little that he could do, and also gives him a like false tooth with a like poison gas that he can expel out of his mouth in an attempt to kill the Baron in retribution for this. So he's giving him like one chance to take out the guy who's wronged them both, basically. It's fucked. Like it's very bad, but it's like the only thing that he can do. It's very interesting that Yue is the one that betrays them, because again, he's supposed to be this imperial trained doctor who is above like the laws, and he's supposed to be incapable of this kind of betrayal. But he, because his wife was captured, he's forced to do this, and it appeals to a very like human conflict in such a wide, like space politics story, right? It comes down to one man like wants to protect his wife, you know? That's
such a good point. It's kind of what's missing in a lot of space politics, like. A thing like, the Star Wars prequels where you're just hit by the politics.
Yeah.
To see something like this, like, yes, we've hit you for this politics, but really what's coming down to is family and love and...
Exactly, yeah.
That kind of thing, yeah.
Yeah, again, it's like, Dune is very much concerned with, like, the human element of storytelling. And that's why he's coming at it, like, he's desperate, It's a very relatable thing, and if you were put in this situation you would act similarly, but it's just it's very sad, and he's doing what he can to save his wife who he loves, and we go into brain damage in playthrough 2, and as we are seeing Paul lying asleep, and we think things are going to go very badly for him. We see the sacred palms from earlier, the 100 men worth of palms are on fire, so that's fucked. Yeah, those sacred trees.
That water's not going to help them now.
No, definitely not. Not enough water. And we see the little Harkonnen bastard. What's his name? Bautista is out here. Just beheading guards, like beheading the Atreides systematically, and like they'd like take no prisoners. Like fuck these guys. He's a nasty boy. For sure. We see Duncan, who's desperately trying to find the members of the family here. He's sprung into action. He's just like in a fucking like nightshirt and barely anything else. Like pants.
Like an old like a real Christmas Carol kind of thing.
Yeah, and he's got his shield on, and he's just out here fucking fighting the best warriors in the galaxy, because that's who he is. And yeah, he takes down like 4 Sardaukar, just cause he can. And yeah, it goes to try and find Paul and Jessica, but they're missing, and it's because they are being loaded onto an ornithopter as prisoners of the Harkonnens. They are being taken away into the desert. Again, their plan is to not kill them here. They're just going to abandon them in the middle of the planet, like in the middle of the desert, and leave them to die, with plausible deniability of that being murder, effectively. Because they could just say, oh yeah, they fled into the desert and we didn't see them anymore, you know?
Yeah.
Which is technically true.
Yeah. Oh, we didn't know the desert was bad.
Oh, whoops.
That desert. Oh.
Ah, whoops. We don't have them on Gady Prime. Anyway, yeah, so Duncan goes into hot pursuit. He takes down a couple of Harkonnens, and then just fucking goads a couple as he grabs an ornithopter and flies off after. I just love that he's yeah, what? And they're backing off away from him because they know they can't kill him. It's so good. And then yeah, he's trying to escape the city in his little ornithopter, while above the ship, the huge drop ship thing is tracing him with a laser. It's very insect trying to escape the light of the magnifying glass.
Yeah.
You know? And it's tracing across the city and just leaving devastation in its wake. It's really cool. It looks great. All this action is fantastically done. We see that the Baron is here and is walking the halls, floating through the halls of the capital with Yue in tow, and we cut to the inside of the ornithopter with Paul and Jessica, and Paul has carved the symbol of the Sook Doctors. That's who they are. Got it here. And the last one. There you go. Redeemed. He's carved the little diamond into the side of the ornithopter saying, it was Yue, basically, to Jessica. And yeah. Basically, the last part of this playthrough where they're escaping... they're not escaping. They're being led to their deaths. The Harkonnens are being horrible. One of them threatens to rape Lady Jessica, pretty nasty, and just throw Paul overboard. And Paul tries to use the voice to get one of them to remove Jessica's gag, but it doesn't work the first time because he doesn't get the tone right. And
yeah, so to them it's just some 15-year-old who you've kidnapped being no, don't kidnap me.
Yeah, exactly, which is strange. And so, yeah, they get up and slap him across the face. And his mum coaches him through it with their secret hand language, which I liked, just giving him words of encouragement. And then he manages to, just before he's about to be thrown out the back of the ornithopter, he manages to convince use the voice correctly on the big meathead guy who removes Jessica's gag, and then she takes over with the voice and commands this guy to kill the other one and let them free. And that's the end of playthrough 2. Yeah, we rejoin our heroes, Gareth, over the heartbeats of Speak to Me once more for Into the Breach for the third playthrough of Dark Side of the Moon, where Lady Jessica has just used the voice on Harkonnen goon who has captured them, basically to kill his mate and set them free, using her powers. Bene Gesserit powers. I like the fact that I don't need to explain any of this anymore because we covered off basically all of it. Now it's
Imagine how reductive it'll be if you're so the Bene Gesserit, though, are this ancient force.
Right. I just explain it every time. No, thank you.
I hope this episode gets more listens than the one before, to know that somebody decided to jump in.
just halfway through a film. God. We haven't really even explained that that's the case, but like we've just launched in. Deal with it. So Paul does some like fancy footwork and like kicks another one over, and they manage to subdue their captors. They take them out as we go. Subdue as we go into breathe. They like land this ornithopter, and then it gets like shut down. I don't know how they remote shut down this little helicopter guy, but they managed to do it. They do throw a kill switch or something. I don't know. They climb up this sand dune here in Dune and overlook the destruction back in Arrakis. The city is just on fire. There's a huge like blimp above it, terrifying spaceship. Like everything's fucked, and they're just sort of in shock for like a little bit. But it is a good vibe for Breathe rolling in. Which is like people standing shocked looking at destruction. Kind of works for me, weirdly.
Right? Yeah, breathe in the despair.
Yeah, breathe in. Yeah, nice.
Should send that to Pink Floyd. Like, hey, you guys thought about changing those lyrics?
Yeah. Have you thought about it, boys? Now's the time. 2022's your year.
Yeah.
Probably not. We go from here to the Duke, who is like stripped naked and is just still frozen from Yue's poison or whatever, his little dart thing that he shot into him. And it's just splayed out at the dining table, his eyes like slowly opening. And he's surrounded by baddies. All the Harkonnens are here. I think the Baron's at the table.
The other end.
Yeah, just chomping away. It's very how to describe it? Like biblical portrait feeling with him, like Michelangelo's David kind of vibes out here. I don't know, with him like splayed out naked here at the table, surrounded by enemies. It just it feels very, I don't know, Renaissance.
Yeah. What is it? My art teacher from high school was just woken up. I assume they fall asleep at 9 p.m. and just shaken her hand and then gone back to sleep, because I can't remember what it was called, but they're like really intense shadow paintings, and it's all just to show off muscle in the dark, and someone's, Saturn's devouring his sun. It's those kind of paintings.
Oh, yeah. I know who you mean, but I don't know the name of
Goya
off the top of my
is
head.
The one who likes Saturn devouring his sun, but I can't remember the style. Yeah. It's also interesting, like, this Baron, everything kind of set up in the book and, like, in the David Lynch movie is, like, this is a bad dude. This dude, look what he does. Oh, he's nasty. And then in this movie, it's like, he goes to saunas and he eats sloppily.
Yeah.
This guy.
He's a big fat boy, and he's got things that he enjoys, all right? He likes a good feed. He likes hanging out in the sauna. Later on, he's going to take a lovely spa. So, he's just a lord of leisure in this movie. And it's hard to hate him for that, but it's mostly his deeds that we dislike.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
if anyone's not convinced he's evil, then what he's about to do will pretty much sum it up.
Basically. We do, so these scenes are sort of intercut where we're cutting back and forth between Jessica and Paul out in the desert, who are, like, going through the frame kits that they found, the little, like, knapsack things that they had on the helicopter, and this meeting between the Baron and the Duke. I say meeting, you know what I mean. But they find, so Jessica and Paul find a little like stash of stuff. The compass is in there. There's like a beacon thing to send out word to the Atreides, and a little note, and it's been put together by Yue, because he's given them a little note in there with his little black diamond symbol on it, in case you didn't realize it was from him. And And yeah, he's like given them their best chance to survive out in the desert. In spite of being this betrayer, he's sort of like done everything that he can to like assuage his own conscience, really. Because he's like, he had to betray them, but has done everything in his power to ensure like the most of the family survive this horrible attack. Which is, it's a really tough thing, but anyway. So Yue himself is brought before the Baron, who basically just doesn't even stop eating and is scolding him as a traitor to the Atreides. And Yue's come to collect his end of the bargain because it's gone off without a hitch, basically. And he floats across the table to Yue, and he says like he's one of these bloody cheaters. The Baron, he's like, he twists his words around and thinks that's really clever. Like out on the, you ever have like play cards with someone and they'll be like, oh yeah, I'll do it this way, like, and then they'll twist your words at you and just screw you over anyway. And it's like, now I will never make a deal with you again, you bastard. That's the vibe. I get like very schoolyard bully energy from the Baron with a lot of his dealings. Like he did this earlier with the Reverend Mother as well, where he was like, the desert will kill them. Oh, I didn't say that I would kill them, but yeah.
Yeah. And like when the parents or teacher actually have to confront these bullies, and it's just like, nah, but I didn't say I would do it. Like that's actually going to make a difference.
Exactly the vibe,
yeah. He's like, if your friend said he was going to streak the playground and everyone like gave him $5 and then like, instead he just paints a small streak on the playground.
Exactly.
With his like pen.
With his pen? His paint pen. Yeah. I like it. Ugh. That is exactly it. And you're like, this guy fucking sucks. Never mind. And now he's rich.
Damn this child Baron Harkonnen.
Yeah. Oh no. That's a terrifying thought. I don't want to imagine like the boss baby, but it's the boss Baron. That's not what I need in my life.
Oh, I'm picturing the exact same, like same size, same everything. Tiny little propeller hat.
In all black, like it's the same material as his like long trained robe, but it's just a little floppy propeller hat. It's got
I haven't read Preludes to Dune, but I'm hoping it's just Dune babies and everyone's little.
Like the Muppet Babies, but for Dune. Yeah. That makes sense to me. Oh. All prequels are Muppet Babies unless otherwise. Like, you can assume if there's going to be a prequel, it's a Muppet Babies prequel.
If it has to say not Muppet Babies in the title, otherwise it's contractually obligated.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. That's why the Hobbit movies all end with not Muppet Babies.
Yeah, there you go.
Everyone remembers that. It's on all the posters. Look closely.
Kind of was Muppet Babies. There were a bunch of dwarves, like the little hobbits they're all like smaller people compared to the Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, there were puppets involved in Lord of the Rings, I believe.
Yeah, the comparison doesn't end. Anyway,
and like I guess Gandalf's like the big the nana that takes care of the Muppet Babies.
Whoa.
Right?
Yeah. I don't know much about the Muppet Babies other than that they exist.
And that they're young.
Yeah, and that they are but babies. It always kind of freaked me out.
I don't know why
that
we should have linked
thing.
more into a Tiny Toons riff. I think I know that better than the Muppet Babies, but only barely.
Well, it's too late now, Gareth. We've made our bed. Once more.
And Tiny Dunes would have been the way better pun.
Oh, damn it. Well, cancel the show. Anyway.
Yeah. Man, when the Emperor set us up to do this podcast, I think he might have been setting us up to fail.
I think so, yeah. He's like, just go into your cupboards and roast alive, boys.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're like, it seems suspicious, but we'll do it. We're going to dive into that trap head first. Much like Yue has done, because he is getting betrayed. He just gets will join his wife in death, effectively, and he just bloody slits his throat. Duplicitous. Dune-plicitous.
Hey.
Terrible. Yeah, so... Yeah, they're going through those kits, and there's like a thumper thing in there to protect them from the worms as well. That's another thing that they find. And then cutting back to the Baron again, he just like is sitting next to the Duke here and is gloating about his victory, effectively saying that the son and Jessica are dead and that the House of Atreides has fallen. And the Duke unleashes his secret weapon given to him by Yue and just blasts the poison from his mouth, bites his little tooth, because he like gets the Baron to lean in because he's like dying or whatever. He can barely speak, and he like whisper speaks, "Here I am, here I remain," I think is his final words, something like that. And then blast this poison into the room. Taken out heaps of the Harkonnens. We see them like painfully choking and dying. And this, like, his immediate death is cut to Paul finding the signet ring of his father and like realizing in that moment that his father is dead as well. So that's like a sync across, which is pretty cool.
Very classy filmmaking.
Yeah. And they have this like very rough grieving moment out in the tent. And then we're like cutting between them like crying and seeing the Duke like lying like as he was dead but now surrounded by dead Harkonnens in the dining room. From here we've got Dr. Kynes, who's like out surveying the destroyed Arrakeen as well. She's got like a headscarf and stuff on. And on the horizon, an ornithopter comes in and lands, and it's Duncan, and he's like, it lands right on the run crash. So thankfully Duncan didn't crash, but you know, it like touches down in sync, which is nice. Duncan's here basically demanding that Kynes reveal the betrayal to the Emperor and to the houses. So like, because she's a representative of the Emperor, as the judge of change, but she is sort of protecting herself and also associates more with the Fremen now than the Emperor who sent her. So she's not likely to put herself in that way, but is going to go with Duncan and try and find the now Duke and Lady Jessica out there. We get like one of the funniest scenes in the movie now where we cut back to the dining hall with these dudes in full hazmat gear coming in, Harkonnens like amazingly dressed to take care of a poison attack. They've got like a big tube that I thought was just like a snake when I first saw it, and I was like, holy shit, that's a big snake. But no, it's like an extractive fan thing. And it would be great if it would be on brand for the Harkonnens to have like a terrifying black snake that they hang out with. That's a good strong symbol for them, but never mind.
You know you're doing well as a villain when people expect you to have a snake more than like a vacuum cleaner.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, just like as part of your look. If you got that going on, you know, you're a bad dude. Bad person. But yes, they are exploring like the fallout of this and taking bodies out of the room. But who should they find but crouched like a little limpet on the ceiling is the Baron, still alive, hanging out up there, like managed to survive this horrible poisoning blast, like straight in his face. I guess because he's just so fucking big. Unknown.
Yeah, he had his shield on as well.
He did.
But I think some of the other ones did as well. You see them turning red.
Yeah, but it's like a gas. Presumably gas could pass through the shield. The shield really
gas
only...
is slow.
Yeah, it only like... The shields get pierced by like... I feel like it only stops like physical things. I don't know how it works. I feel like
you're totally right. Otherwise, like, Paul would just pass out immediately fighting in his shield because
right.
no oxygen's moving around.
Yeah. And also they could just use like shields out in the desert and it would like protect them in the same way that still suits would, right? If it was like a little bubble shield, because you'd recycle your own air on the inside, but I don't know.
Yeah. No, you did right.
Yeah.
He's just tough.
He's like little crouched up boy up on the ceiling, hanging out up there. Lionel
The
Richie.
exact part where you can't get him when you're trying to clean your house.
Yeah, he's one like pernicious spider. He's just up there. You can't get rid of him. He's made his little nest. His Harkonnen nest. What a bastard. Get out of here.
Yeah. I've got to shout out to those spiders, though. There was a fly in my house, and the spider I couldn't get was the one who got the fly, which I also couldn't get. It was like watching Mother Nature.
Yeah, that's like a fable playing out in your real life. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
You learned a valuable lesson, and then you like you wrote it down in your collection, your collected works. Yeah.
Gareth's fables. They're all like 1.5 sentences long. It's great.
Yeah. Oh, that would sell. That's good.
Yeah.
You should write some modern fables, Gareth. That's what I want for you in 2022.
And then my children have to figure out if they sync with Dark Side of the Moon. All of my fables.
That is a fabled curse of your dynasty. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Children of Pink Floyd, the series that follows this one.
Children of Moon.
Yeah. Ooh.
There we go.
Tiny Moons.
Yeah, we got it. Also the name of our branded cereal. Yeah. Paul's having a bad time in the tent continued as he's having a reaction to the spice in the air. He's got a little like glow stick thing. Fresh from the rave. But yeah, is seeing the spice floating around out here. And so cue another vision where he's hanging out with Shani in the sands. She's like walking along the dunes in like a white dress sort of thing, white scarves. And yeah, we like crest the top of a dune of sand and see a battle playing out with these Fremen warriors fighting what look like Sardaukar, but we don't really know. A force doing battle but the Fremen is definitely one side because they're bursting out of the sand, as is their move. And there's this one warrior doing all kinds of crazy flips and stabs and stuff.
Yeah.
And then the visor comes up on that warrior and it's Paul's face with the eyes of a barn. He's got the glowy blue eyes of the Fremen. Crazy. He's out here. It's another vision of the future. We see the Chris knife on the ground, which is like a symbol of this coming conflict as well, and a pile of just burning bodies stacked high. It's a vision of the future and of a holy war is how he describes it. A war in his father's name, in his own name, and people are shouting his name over and over and over again.
Yeah, shouting Paul. Again, the most normal human name.
That's scary in of itself. If you heard
That's so much scarier.
If you heard like 5,000 people shouting Paul, like something's clearly gone wrong. Shout outs to you. If you're called Paul, this one's for you. Yeah.
If you're called Paul and you need 5,000 people, we'll be 2 of those people.
Absolutely. Call me by your name. They're hanging out.
Call me by your name.
We see like them on Caladan, the Fremen force as well, like reclaiming it for the Atreides, and we see Paul and Shani like hanging out in the like pod bay doors of an enormous ship. Out, like floating above Caladan, like looking down at this force. It's very, very dark. All this future stuff. It's like, I guess this is his most direct exposure to the spice, and that's where his visions are like coming thick and fast. here. He really doesn't have any relief from the effects of the spice. And so he's just like in a haze, at least until he adjusts for a little bit. But yeah, he doesn't take it well.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, just that's like...
This is...
Oh, sorry. Go.
Oh, sorry. This is definitely the scene that's like the most... What you were saying last week, or last half, with the idea that it is twisting the idea of becoming the savior. Because he's like seeing this thing, but immediately just seeing like, no, I turn this awful. I become this warlord. And he's like furious at the whole Bene Gesserit system for setting him up for this.
Exactly, yeah.
And it reads quite different in the book from like, it's worth a note, I'm exactly up to the point of the book where we've started this episode.
Oh, wow.
So I've read, if people are watching me read along at home. So yeah, I've just passed this point, and he's got a lot more of like a shut up mom energy for like the next couple of like chapters or pages, which I kind of find really different to how it is in this movie.
Because he like sort of shoves her away in this one moment, being like, fuck you for raising me on this horrible messiah bullshit and making me a freak who sees visions in his dreams. But then realizes, like, you immediately realizes after that, like, that he shouldn't be pushing her away in this way, you know? Like, yeah, it's not he's got a lot more, like, pathos than an average 15-year-old, I think, would be. So maybe it is more realistic in the book, but I don't know. It's nicer to watch in the movie, for sure. Him realizing.
I'm wondering, when you were 15, if you found out you were the like chosen one to a bunch of space witches, how would you have reacted?
I would have, I think, just like immediately fucked it all up for myself. But
same.
Yeah, like I didn't need that kind of ego boost when I was 15. There's no way in hell. I think I started last episode saying that you shouldn't like feed into my God complex, and that's like super true. But I don't need it.
I would have been the exact same. I would have been like, yeah, of course I am the chosen one. Of course everyone else is an idiot. I'm 15.
Yeah.
And then like immediately like dropped the ball so bad.
Right?
Like somehow all planets explode because of me and my bullshit.
Oh no, the space holy war that you start. And it's like, why are we doing this? You know,
just trying to get a Muse t-shirt, ruining the whole kingdom because I can't find some exclusive Muse merch. Yeah,
it's the only way. The Muse must flow. Oh my god. So I do like that he like isn't a shitty 15-year-old in this moment, and he hugs his mum. That made me feel happy. And we see him like later on in the night like toying the with the signet ring and puts it on his finger. It's assuming the mantle of being the Duke in that moment as well. Like he's found his way to lead here. And then they hop out of the tent. We see the cute little mouse. Friend of the show, friend of the pod, little desert mouse. I love this guy.
Yeah. The only guest we could get was this mouse, but he's, silent.
Yeah. He's cute though. He's got very wet ears.
Those ears are soaked.
He keeps flicking water at my face, which is like it was helpful because it's quite warm where I am, but it's getting more and more annoying.
There was someone on TikTok who is credited as the noises behind this mouse.
Oh wow!
I wish I'd done the research. I only just remembered when I thought about those wet ears.
Wow!
And it's just kind of remixing real mouse noises, which good to know.
That's good. Yeah, that's what you would. That's what I would do. That makes perfect sense. Yeah. I like that the person who worked on Dune, the mouse stuff specifically is big on TikTok. That is very good.
I mean, don't judge anything I say as a sign of it being big on TikTok. Like my algorithm is exclusively small animal sounds.
I mean, That sounds great. It's good to be the authority on that, you know. It sounds like you've just cultivated a good feed of TikTok, which seems like judging from the TikToks I've seen, it would be an absolute nightmare to do so.
Oh, yeah. So this isn't explicitly my TikTok. I get double cultivated in that this is Maddie's TikTok that she then will show me, like, the ones that I'll like the most. So she's really
the good
sifting.
stuff.
She's the spice harvester, and I'm just the spacing guild, enjoying the peaks, the perks.
Yeah. Enjoying the free travel to the good
to
laughs.
the animal sound effects.
Yeah.
Yeah,
man.
like, to set up a new TikTok, it would scare me so much because you'd just be getting everything you hate while it's trying to learn what you like. It would just ruin too many of my days. I've already have to deal with the fact my Instagram algorithm only wants to show me Spider-Man.
Oh, yeah. That's like being born again, like discovering all the things you hate and then and all the things you love and having to sort them out. Like, it's just a rebirth is starting a new TikTok. A new experience of life. There you go.
Yeah. I love the idea of someone like an old Dune fan who's also a big Pink Floyd fan having to just get through us talking about TikTok.
All right. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Like my favorite book and album finally in podcast form.
At last.
Oh boy.
No. Let's move on from TikTok, please. We're going home again, of course. As Duncan miraculously finds them as like out in the desert, like immediately. They've spent one night in the desert, and he's just flying overhead like right away. It's like, oh shit! I guess they had the little beacon going.
Yeah.
So he could like zeroed in on their location. But anyway, he finds them and picks them up. He immediately like kneels before Paul as well as the new Duke. Like recognizing that the old Duke is now dead. We get a little bit of background from Kynes and him on the ship, where apparently not just Arrakis was attacked, but every populous location on the planet was attacked simultaneously by the Harkonnens and the Sardaukar, which is nuts. Like, that is a very well coordinated attack. It's terrifying.
Yeah.
I wonder if they assaulted the Fremen. I don't really know. I think it was just like the settlements of the Atreides, probably.
Yeah, I think the Harkonnen don't really care about the Fremen.
Not at this point,
it's like a real threat. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, we go into Great Gig in the Sky now, and they stop off at a research post, or like an ecological place, where they were trying to, like, before all the spice stuff kicked off, this was like the first settling kind of zone where they were trying to make a like climate change happen. There's a name for it, like terraform, effectively, of the planet. Where they were trying to bring the water up to the surface and transform Arrakis into this like paradise, like tropical desert land, which would have been nice. But then they found the spice on the planet, and of course that all went to shit because if they fuck with the climate, then the spice goes away. So they've got to keep that balance of this nightmare desert world in order to make space travel happen.
It's the most clear one-to-one of like this being an oil metaphor.
Yeah, for sure.
And you're like, oh, we stopped caring once we realized there was money to be made.
Yeah, exactly. We were just like, actually, fuck this planet.
Yeah.
We can make cars go very fast. You know?
Any questions? Look how fast this car's going. Any more questions? Fast. Didn't think so.
So damn fast and furious. Oh my god.
Yeah. Fast 10, Dune.
Oh, I mean, I could see it happening, honestly.
Yeah.
Oh man, we're just like
his car just goes too fast and ends up in Arrakis.
You're like, holy shit! And the Dune sequel that comes out, there's just suddenly fucking Vinny D rolling up in like a Porsche or something, just on Arrakis, and you're like, what the fuck? How did you get here?
Hey, this spice you've got is pretty good, but have you guys heard about family?
Yeah. I heard about a family in need of help, and I was like, maybe you could join my family. Yeah, I've sold it.
Yeah.
Anyway, so they rock up here, and Jessica and Paul get given some still suits so that they can survive out in the desert. And they make some coffee. The Fremen are out here like spitting into the same coffee cup. Like that's weird, but fair enough. I guess it's like all the moisture that they have. So they're making like the darkest, grittiest sand coffee ever. But fair enough. That's what you got to do on Arrakis, you know? That's all you got.
Yeah.
Got to wake up in the morning somehow.
Yeah. Don't talk to me till I've spit in everyone else's coffee.
Exactly.
We could make that shirt, and people who have no interest in the show would definitely buy it.
Yeah, that's not bad, actually. Yeah, write that one down. I'm
on it.
But yeah, as they're making this terrible cup of coffee, some Sardaukar ships roll in to like scope out the place they've been found. So that's not good. Paul and Kynes are having like a argument / conversation where he's asking her if she would testify before the houses and before the Emperor, saying that the Emperor made a move against the family on Arrakis. And she's like, first of all, non-committal, saying that they're unlikely to believe her. But even if she did, it would lead to like the destruction of the Imperium itself. Like there would be great unrest across the known universe if they found out like what was going on. There'd be like a war between the houses and the Emperor, and like even more conflict than already is happening. And so she doesn't want that. And that's kind of fair enough. And Paul's like, well, what if I could offer the Emperor something? What if I married one of his daughters? And it's like, okay. Kynes is like...
Very Skux move.
Yeah, I'll marry into the family. My family's your family. But she's like, no, dude, they are trying to kill you. They've sent you to this desert planet and killed your dad. You have literally no bargaining chips. Like, you've been sent here to this kill zone. So, not a great plan, but
no, not his best.
No. So yeah, that's what she's saying. She's still gonna like try and help them, but not great ideas thus far from Paul, in her opinion. Yeah. Another Skux move from Paul, though, as he reveals to Kynes that he's seen her dream, which is a powerful thing to say to someone. He like knows like a bunch of stuff about her life from some of his visions being from her perspective, presumably. Like some of the stuff I believe like the stuff with like Duncan among the Fremen and some of the conflicts that we've seen in the caverns have been actually her memories that he's just like tapped into through the Bene Gesserit powers. I'm pretty sure that's what's going on. So he's saying that like she's more attuned to the Fremen way of life rather than the Emperor anyway. So like why not side with us? And he says that he could turn Arrakis into the paradise that she so wanted, with the wave of his hand. If he became Emperor, he could make it happen, you know? Yeah. So that's an interesting ploy, interesting play. Whether or not he actually would when the spice is still very much a thing, who's to say, you know?
Yeah, it's that classic, like, live long enough to see yourself become the villain kind of.
Yeah, I think that's what's going to happen, low-key. But yeah, so we go, like, that's like playing out for all of Great Gig, this sequence with the argument here. And then we see Sardaukar dropping in, like Mission Impossible style, dropping in on all the wires, landing, trying to find the people here. And we see the coffee cup like abandoned on the ground, and it's because the Fremen have done their burrow under the sand tremors trick where they just burst up and ambush the Sardaukar. But there's like 40, 50 of them, so they get pretty overwhelmed quickly. But still, shout out to these coffee boys for at least fighting the good fight. You know, shout outs to those Fremen. Yeah.
I love the idea of attacking via burrowing beneath.
Yeah.
It's very underrated, you know? It's like, we all used fly in Pokemon, but you're a real player if you're using dig when you play Pokemon.
Yeah, man. Absolutely. You're vulnerable to earthquake, but not much more.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Way more likely to use that than like the thunder move they can get you when you use fly.
Exactly. So we are going into money now as, everyone starts hearing battle sounds down the hall, and Duncan, like, goes out to investigate what's going on and sees that Sardaukar outside and, like, seals himself in the chamber between the royal family and him, and like it's great. He like it's his last stand moment where he gives a salute, the Atreides salute to Paul before shutting the door. It's so sick. And then fights off like 10 Sardaukar, and then gets stabbed in the chest, and like, when you think he's down, he comes back and just keeps fighting. We saw the, like, aftermath of this in a previous vision that Paul had, where he's just lying dead in a room full of Sardaukar bodies. He took down, like, 20 people, which is insane. Like, the best warriors in the galaxy. Hell yeah. Incredible stuff.
Heck yeah. All from a man named Duncan Idaho.
Oh, such a good name.
Yeah, there's got to be a reason. Like, Memories of Earth, we remembered the two best things: Idaho and Dunkin' Donuts. Or something.
What's your Dune name? Your Dune name is the state in America you most want to visit, and a name chosen at random from a male baby book.
Yeah.
Or like,
right,
or like you're like your grandfather's name, and then and then random, and then state you most want to visit.
All right, Alec, Oregon.
I like that. I'm Owen, Chicago.
Oh, that would work perfectly well.
Yeah.
Both of these sound like if we had to go 22 Jump Street or 21 Jump Street style undercover at a high school and we got to choose our own names. What's up?
Oh my god.
In Chicago, baby. I drive a car.
It's true. Yeah. It runs on spice. Yeah. I want a bumper sticker that says this car runs on spice.
Yes.
There we go.
Little picture of the Baron giving a thumbs up.
So much merch this episode. I like it. So they like the bad boys, the Sardaukar, start cutting through the door with this like laser pointed gun thing, which is sweet looking. Again, it's like a channel. They used similar technology when they were attacking Arrakis. This like magnifying glass, hyper fixated light point that just cuts through metal. Terrifying, just as a technology to exist. Yeah, super dangerous. Presumably, like one of the things that would explode if you were wearing a shield. But anyway. So they start like cutting through, and Kynes and the crew start trying to escape. They run down a hall, and then Kynes splits off from them, leaving the ornithopter to them to get away in, because she'll try to like split the party and survive in the desert because she's Fremen and has the best chance of surviving out there on her own. And yeah, we see her like running out into the desert and looking. She sees a worm sign, sees like the sand shifting and shaking out there, and so is going to try and ride this worm with her little hooks that she has, which is sick. We don't really know that here, but that's what the plan is. Because I don't think we've seen the worm riding until like right at the end.
Nah, that's like the big reveal.
Yeah.
Like, check this shit out kind of thing.
Yeah, we've seen these like hook things before, but we don't know what they're for yet. But yeah. So Jessica and Paul run for the ornithopter and get away as we're into the like descending scale of time, but they've been scoped by a Sardaukar who are going to give chase. Kynes like puts down a thumper to draw the worm to like nearby, but not to like kill her, so that she can ride it. But before she can, she gets stabbed through the back and by Sardaukar, and we get the cruising for a bruising ad lib in Us and Them. Or like, no, right at the end of Money. Sorry. She's like, she says that she only serves one master, and that's Shai Hulud, baby, the big worm, and starts thumping a baseline into the earth with her fist, and draws the worm close, and it consumes them all in its big worm mouth. It's very good. What a way to go.
Yeah. Very worth noting that, so cast your mind back. I'm in the cinema, I know I'm going to sync this one day, but I'm not syncing it right now. I'm just trying to have a good time.
Yeah.
Having my free time. 100% this thumping is the same tempo as the heartbeats from the start of Dark Side of the Moon. I was so excited. Yeah.
That rules.
Huge deal. And then unfortunately it happens during Money, which is the only song in like 7/4 time and not at all in sync with the thumping.
No, not at all in beat, unfortunately. I was hoping for that as well, but no.
Yeah. Which we do. So this movie was released in America well before it reached New Zealand, and thus well before we could sync it. We had a fan reach out to us, or maybe just a complete stranger who doesn't care about the show, to alert us that you should listen to... He wanted us to listen to Dark Side of the Moon, Animals, and The Wall in order while watching this movie.
Right.
So maybe if you do that, you're going to get something in time with the thumper. We did not, because we have sworn an awful oath to only listen to Dark Side of the Moon by Pink Floyd.
The blood oath.
But, it is. Every time we do one of these bonus episodes with Krull or Yu-Gi-Oh! Music to Jewel By, we actually have to drain all of our blood out before we do it. And so then Pink Floyd can't take our blood.
Yeah, that's the rule. Yeah. The blood must flow.
Yeah, and then we pump it back in and get ready for Dune.
We run it through the album, through the little, the ring of the CD. And just...
that's so scary.
Yeah, and then put it back into our body, and our one body. Why did I say body? Anyway,
it's starting.
Oh no, we've melded. So we are going into Us and Them as the Atreides crew. They're trying to. They're approaching the storm that was going to help them get away. They're supposed to like coast along the storm front, so that they're harder to detect, but they're being pursued by a trio of ornithopters in the background, and they shoot off these seeker missiles to track them down. The only way to lose them and to lose track of these missiles is to just dive headfirst into the storm, the sandstorm.
Shout out to Darude.
We see that happen. They are just like getting absolutely bombarded with sand. The ornithopters falling apart. The windshield cracks. It's scary times. The machine itself is like struggling to operate. We see the missiles all like burn up and explode on impact to the sand blast that they're flying into. So thankfully, none of the missiles land. But yeah, the sandstorm itself is taking its toll. Jessica again just like starts speaking the litany against fear. Dives into that old chestnut, that classic.
Yeah, that hit song.
Yeah, everyone's favorite hit single in Dune. And yeah, Paul sees another vision of the Fremen, presumably again from the spice in the sandstorm being blown at him. And yeah, and presumably what is a scene of the sequel. We see like a Fremen man guiding them, and he drops another fucking banger quote from Dune, which is, "The mystery of life isn't a problem to solve, but a reality to experience." Oof. So good.
Yeah, put that on the Dune calendar.
Fucking A. And then, yeah, so he, like, interprets this message and of the future, and, turns off the controls to the Thopter, and just starts, the wings come in, and then they are just like a leaf on the wind, flying around. I do like that the Thopter with its leaves in looks like a little, one of those little ginkgo seed pods, the little propeller leaves. I think that's intentional. We're just spinning around, freewheeling out here in the desert storm. Yeah, looks great.
It's worth noting the friend who gives him this advice as well in the vision. Putting his face in your brain pocket, because this is something I missed the first time I saw it, and when you actually realize what's going on, like who this guy is, by the end of the film, you're kind of getting a little bit of the idea of the old Denny the Menace twist that he's doing to this book. Yeah. Anyway.
Okay. I'm intrigued. I don't know. I feel like I've missed it, so I'm excited.
Unless I've got the wrong guy.
Maybe.
But I'm 99% sure.
Okay. Is it Jamis?
Yeah.
Okay. I wasn't sure if it was like the same actor or not. It's hard to tell in this very short vision. You only see him for a little bit.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
So yeah, I wasn't sure.
But it's like, no, you're good. It's like, the idea is that you're like, oh, cool, this guy's going to be really important to the story. And then when you meet him later, you're like, oh, cool, it's the guy who's really important to the story. He must have some sort of plot armor.
Yeah.
And,
yeah, never mind. Again, yeah, like they're potential futures that he's seeing, so rather than like the set path.
There's an amazing quote in the book that they're probably going to use in the second movie. That's like, he can see the future, but only as well as like you can see the way you see now. Like if there's no light, you can't see, or if you're in a valley, you can't see beyond the valley. So his like future visions are limited based on like anything could happen.
Right. I like that.
Yeah.
Because of like choice and causality, I guess. Like he can only see so far. I like that.
He sees I think it's like he sees the future like an endless world, but when he gets to that, when it becomes the present, it becomes a small door to walk through.
I like it. Very good.
Yeah. Dune's pretty good, eh?
Yeah, I think so. And we got a good bit now because the Baron's having his lovely oil bath.
Yes.
Recovering from his poisoning. Glosu Raban is here to give his report because he's one of the dudes pursuing the Atreides clan. And his dad's just having a bath, and he won't get out.
He looks so awkward. I love it.
Yeah, he's just talking to the bath, Yeah. That's always awkward. If they could have shot this with him on the other side of a bathroom door, I think they probably would have.
Yeah.
So he's awkwardly giving the report that like he chased them as far as he could, and they went straight into the sandstorm with winds blowing 800 kilometers an hour. Holy shit, that's fast. And there's no way that they would have survived that. So the Baron's like, oh, thank God, it's fucking done. We see him emerge like a fucking beluga whale coming up. He tells Raban to start selling off the spice and to like, he says to squeeze them, to like squeeze the populace basically and make the most money, and just meter out a tiny little bit because they've got the monopoly back, like they set the price, they can do whatever they want. Bastards. And Raban asks what to do with the Fremen, and he says, kill them all. Nasty boy.
And just dunks himself back into the oil.
Yeah. Gotta recover. This oil's like the miracle stuff. It may look gross, but if you get poisoned, if you've got a sore tum, just dive in the oil bath for like a full 3 days and you'll be sweet. You'll be all good. Recovered.
Yeah.
Back to your very corpulent floating self,
Back to your barrening ways.
Yeah. That's the guarantee.
Yeah. I love Dave Bautista in this scene, by the way. This is when it dawned on me, and not for this role, but Dave Bautista is gonna win an Oscar before The Rock wins an Oscar, is my big call. And The Rock is gonna be so quietly mad. Like, he can't break his brand and be mad, but he will be so mad.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah,
I think
you get Bautista the right director, it's gonna happen.
Yeah, I reckon that's definitely possible. Like, he's given some really good performances over the years. Like, so it doesn't surprise me. And The Rock's films aren't really like what the Academy is going for, so that makes a lot of sense to me.
The Rock could win based on, because The Rock's only going to play the same kind of guy, like a man who wears khaki, like who has cargo pants. So like he could maybe I don't know, play like the guy who founded cargo pants and like how that might have ruined his life. Like,
oh no!
Maybe bring that to some sort of beautiful end. But whereas Bautista, he's gonna do it.
Oh, I love the cargo pants biopic idea. It's just got like pocket. It's got tools in each of his pockets, but he can't fix a broken heart.
Oh, that's it. That's perfect.
Oh no!
There is actually shout out to another podcast. Every Little Thing has a great episode that is about like why cargo pants were everywhere and how they just vanished immediately.
Wow!
And it is due to Abercrombie and Fitch had like a lot of controversies based on like kind of racist model hiring and stuff like that, like really discriminatory hiring of models. So like it could be, you get The Rock involved in that movie.
Yeah.
If he doesn't mind, letting the brand go a little bit.
That's an interesting story to tell at the very least,
Heck yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, cool. There you go. There's your Oscar nom. Dwayne, get at us.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, one last thing about Bautista.
Sure.
During his second marriage, he began collecting vintage metal lunchboxes.
Aw, I like that a lot. Good on him.
His favourite one has Bruce Lee on it.
Fuck yeah. Oh, man.
Yeah.
That's great. Oh, I'm happy for him.
Yeah, same.
Oh, man. Good on you. I've got a newfound love for Glossu Raban by association. Oh my gosh. I loved him in Blade Runner 2049 with his little glasses as well. That was such a wonderful time. Yeah. Anyway, so they have just been coasting in the ship for all of us and them up until like the breakdown part, the piano zone, and the short, sharp shock ad-libby bit. And yeah, they're like nearly out of fuel and the ship is fucked, but they are finally close enough to the surface of the storm that they can breach it and get out. And so yeah, they get out to the top, but run out of fuel as soon as they like crest the top of the storm. And so they just deploy the wings of the little glider, the 4 little wings. One of them doesn't even open and the other one snaps off. So they're just down to 2 wings and they're just gliding. Gliding above a dust storm is a very good fit for the R's in us and them, the chorus line.
Absolutely.
Really nice. Unfortunately, though, another wing does fall off, and then they start just spiraling downwards as we get the down and out part of the the final part of us and them. They do manage to survive this because they are just crashing into sand conveniently and not rocks. So yeah, the ship is fucked, but the people inside survive, so that's good. And yeah, they make a mad dash for the nearby rocks, and then we get into Any Color You Like, the vibey track. And they're put on their still suits. There's a bit of a weird moment where Jessica looks over her shoulder at Timothée Chalamet's tiny boy body.
Yes.
What is going on in that scene? I don't know. Maybe it was just because it was complete silence. We were just getting Any Color You Like, but it was a really weird vibe on just that one shot.
So glad you brought this up, because this was the main question when we all got out of the cinema. Not, what do you think Spice does? Or how do you think the Emperor is going to, misuse Glossy Raban to introduce the people to his other favourite nephew? It was all, why did she look at Paul that way? What was this weird energy? Weird. So yeah, it's very creepy. So of course I went to the home of creeps and I looked on Reddit for I'm a little stinker.
Get burned, Reddit. Holy shit.
This is why I think if there was a Reddit for the show, they won't like me.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm a little mischief boy.
Yeah.
So apparently it's meant to be, you watch the whole film, every time Paul has to get changed, when he gets changed into his formal gear, when he gets changed into anything, he gets told to get dressed by his mum, and this is supposed to be the first sign. He just gets he just gets buck naked and then right into that stilt suit, and she's just shocked that he's doing this without any mention. And that's why he looks back, is just to make sure she's doing it too.
Right.
But it is, I'm going to say it's a swing and a miss, because all everyone thinks is why are they looking at each other like this?
Yeah, definitely. It's still it's a weird creep shot of both of them, and it sucks.
Yeah.
But yeah, that makes a lot of sense that is the context. But yeah, that's something, again, that's really hard to get across in film. So
especially Rebecca Ferguson is 12 years older than Timothée Chalamet.
Right.
Who is playing a character 7 years younger than himself. But
yeah.
It all just there's almost not enough of a mother-son energy in the scene or something. Who's to say?
It's just something in the look that's slightly off, and you're like, don't like that. Don't think that should be happening out here on these sandy dunes. No, thank you.
No.
No. Yeah. Anyway.
Not on my dunes.
No.
Oh, God. That's another t-shirt no one's going to buy who listens to the show, but a bunch of weird people will. Is mother's looking at sons, not on my dunes.
It's such a bizarre shirt.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So moving on from that creep show, we've got the mission is now to find the Fremen out here in the desert. They're sort of aimless. Paul has kind of a vague sense of where to go because of his visions. We get a cut to him seeing Duncan among the Fremen again, and he's pinpointing that location in his mind's eye, effectively trying to find that Steach where the Fremen were hanging out. He has another vision here again of him and Shani, who are looking at the desert mouse, who has made a weird little tent in the desert.
Yeah.
I don't know, a little nest thing. It's a very trippy sequence over Any Color You Like. Just seeing them
for sure.
hanging out here. It's very strange. And then, we have... a friend will help you follow the friend. And you say that this is Jamis again. I'm still not convinced that it's the guy, but it could be. I'm not.
I will feel so bad if it's not. Also, not only bad in the obvious way for messing up who the actors are. But just like, I was so proud of myself walking out of seeing this the second time in the cinema, thinking I picked up something really wise.
Oh, it could be. I just am not. I'm not entirely sure. It's like it's hard to tell. But anyway, yeah. So he's like going to show them the ways of the desert, etc. It's this vision of the future. And then, they're trekking across these dunes to try and find where Duncan went to. And we go into brain damage as we're having to learn to do the sand walk, which is the goofy walk that you have to do to not attract the worm. They're just doing it out here. It is like, it's very... Like, it has to be weird. Like, there's no way to do this elegantly because you're literally walking without rhythm. Like, it's going to look strange. But yeah, I am glad that they commit to doing it. But later on in this movie, they fucking don't, and it annoys the hell out of me. Like, the final shot of this movie, no one's doing this goofy walk, I guess for drama, and I'm like, fuck you guys. You should be all doing the walk. You're attracting the worm right now. There's like 50 of you guys out here. Oh, made me so angry.
Do you reckon they're walking on like rocks instead of sand?
They aren't. They're
maybe?
walking on the dunes. You can see the sand. And I'm like, fuck's sake, guys. There's even a big worm nearby who's zooming around at the end of the movie. Oh, made me irrationally angry. Anyway, so they're doing this fun sand walk move. As we're getting the lunatic is on the grass, of course, but there's no grass out here, so dunes will have to suffice. Looking up at the twin moons again, hanging out at night, because they're crossing the desert in the middle of the night so that they don't boil themselves in the sun. It's the way the Fremen do it, is what Paul says. I love that he's just like read about this in a book and now is having to do everything that he like read about a week ago.
Yeah.
It's pretty great.
Again, like in the book, this is a lot more like, shut up, Mom, this is what the Fremen do.
Wow. What a piece of shit kid. But yeah, here they're much more like looking out for each other and just going along together in a bid for survival for both of them. Like, they're fully aware of the stakes at play. There's not much time for like, fuck you, mums. Anyway. They just before dawn are like hearing the rumbles of a worm, presumably. They're looking around a lot. We aren't hearing anything or seeing any subtitle that would give the game away. So I'm expecting that there's a worm imminent because they discover that they're standing on like compacted sand, and it's making too much noise, and it's attracted the worm. The rhythmic sounds.
It's drum sound, right? Drum sand.
Drum sand, yes, which is apparently a thing in the book. But yeah, it's like a specific kind of sand. I'm not sure, but anyway. They make a mad dash for the rocks as they're being pursued by this like shifting sand, fucking outrunning this colossal worm. And we get the ooze and the like of brain damage, the nice closing part where they say, "See you on the dark side of the moon," and we see the big worm. He comes up out of the sand, and we see his lovely face. It's a powerful shot of this enormous worm just like staring down at them. It's a good. You get like a full glorious look at him. Finally, he's not just in the sand. I do really like as well that the mouth of the worm kind of resembles a giant eye or iris, like because there's like a dark hole in the middle, which would be the pupil, and then the iris is the teeth around it. If you look at it in context, it looks like an enormous eye looking at them, which is pretty cool. Yeah, I just think it's a nice looking visual. The worm gets drawn away by a thumper nearby. They're like someone's like out there has saved them. Even though I don't think this worm was going to move, he's just sort of looking at them, waiting. I guess they would have been like locked in a standstill forever as this worm just like waits for any other sound. Otherwise, it's like going to eat them.
Yeah.
But anyway, it gets drawn away and they get saved as we go into Eclipse. And they're hiding in these little caverns, but they are not alone out here. Someone that saved them is slowly surrounding them because the Fremen are out here. They're scouts, a group of scouts, effectively. Surrounding them on a nearby cliffs. And bloody Stilgar's here, the leader of the Steech that we met earlier. One of the Fremen bigwigs out with on a scouting party. They're like gathered around and trying to decide what to do with them. There's one guy, Jamis out here, is bloody hungry for blood. He's like, I want to claim their water from their bodies because that's all you're good for. And it's like, Stilgar's like, nah, I've met them before. Like, this guy is the Duke's son, and so we can't touch him. And he's also potentially like the son of God. So, like maybe we should think that one through a bit more. And he's like, nah, I want to drink his blood. But yeah, they're right at the end of this third playthrough. They're just having a big argument about what to do. And Stilgar decides that Paul is young enough that he can learn the ways of the Fremen. They can like teach him their ways. But Jessica is A, a woman, and B, too old to be trained. Is what he says. And so sentences her to die. And moves over to like cut her throat. But Jessica is a fucking badass. Like, I don't know if she even uses the voice. I think she just like fucking fights him, wrestles the knife out of his hand as Paul like is beating up other Fremen. And he gets to the like steals some of like somebody's like pistol and runs up to the high ground to point it at Stilgar. And meanwhile, Jessica has like wrestled his knife from him and is holding it to his throat. And it's so funny that now that Stilgar's at her mercy, he's like, maybe I've misjudged you. Now that you could kill me at any second, my bad. Shouldn't
Hey guys, new idea.
Yeah, maybe this lady's cool. And we should let her live because otherwise I'll die now. It's so funny. Damn right you did misjudge her, Stilgar, you idiot. But yeah, he's like, why didn't you say you were a badass warrior? You know, and she's like, I didn't have time. You were coming to kill me, remember? Anyway, he's like, okay, cool. You guys are under my protection for now, and once we reach the Steech, your fate will be decided there. Once we reach their settlement, effectively. And we see behind Paul, Shani was there and wasn't going to let him shoot the gun. And he sort of like has a like, oh shit, it's the girl from my dreams moment where he literally can't think of anything to say. And yeah, I like that she like effectively calls him an idiot, says that like he chose the hardest way up the cliff. Again, I think this is like an important line of dialogue because it's showing him that he's like choosing the path of most resistance. Literally in his journey as well, like, and so he has a lot to learn from the Fremen in that way, but also like his journey is going to be fraught with like adversaries and lots of obstructions in his path.
Heck yeah.
And Shani's here to help with that.
It's again like talking about the meta casting in this film, just the fact that like we talked about last time, the Zendaya nation all waiting the whole movie for Zendaya to join, and then when we see her, we're like, yes, she's here, is exactly how Paul would be feeling. Like, oh my god, yes, she's here, she's real, she's Zendaya, She's one of the biggest stars in the world, and her first film she was in was called Super Buddies, where she played a pony. And I got to just remind the world about that sometimes.
Yeah, please. Oh my gosh.
Actually, you look at, like, obviously she did TV in the middle and, like, music. And, yeah, amazing, magnetic, I'll say it, actor. But you look at her, just the movie side of her Wikipedia, and it's playing the pony in Super Buddies, and then immediately, like, her iconic starring role in the new Spider-Man movies. Like, what a jump.
Whoa,
yeah, Spider-Man himself would be proud.
Just an ocean between those two roles.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. So yeah, Chani gets charged with the protection of these newcomers, but fucking Jamis is not having it. He's like, fuck this. You are Stilgar, you don't make the decisions anymore because only the strongest of the Fremen are the ones who lead. And you were just bested by Jessica. So QED, you don't tell me what to do anymore. And yeah, he invokes Amtal, or Umtal, I'm not sure how it's said. Again, we were on mute. But basically, yeah, challenges Jessica to a fight to the death for leadership of the group. Yeah. And Stilgar's like, you cannot fight a woman. That's against the rules. And he's like, well, someone fight for her then. And Paul steps up to defend his mum from this battle to the death. Yeah. And they're going to have a duel out here, out in the sun, because the sun is rising as we go into On the Run for the duel.
Yeah.
We see a couple of visions that Paul's having pre-fight of him just losing to Jamis, like getting stabbed, which is not what you need before you're fighting. Just a vision of yourself losing. You're like, fuck, that's not helpful, future. And he hears in his head that Paul Atreides must die for the Kwisatz Haderach to rise. Yeah, so Paul Atreides will be no more after this fight, basically, is the idea. Either he'll die or his past self will die and he will become Fremen, become the Messiah, effectively, in this moment, is the idea, I believe. And yeah, it says when you take a life, you take your own as well, which is like, whoa. Because if he hasn't killed anyone before in his life. So this is a huge, like, coming of age kind of moment. It's very weird. Dune's a coming of age story. And that, you remember when you killed your first man? God.
We've all done it at 15.
Yeah. You ever get out there, you get given a Chris knife by the girl of your dreams, and then you just get amongst out on the dunes. Anyway.
It's such an interesting loaded scene for Paul that they've and you know, a couple of wise audience members, because you know, we've seen that this guy he's fighting, well, he's just had proof that his visions come true because he's met Zendaya. And then we've seen that this guy he's fighting will be his friend who helps him. And then he's seen this guy kill him. So we're like, wait, what's going on? What can we trust now? And yeah, it's all going to come to a head.
Yeah, very soon. She gives him the old, her Chris knife. Says that she doesn't believe in him as the Messiah, but at least you can die with honor, which is fair enough. And yeah, hands him the knife like he has seen so many times in the past. And yeah, it's just ready for battle. It's the symbolic moment of him getting the knife anyway. We get live for today, gone tomorrow, Gareth, the little ad-lib in On the Run as we are ready for this fight. Jamis is squaring off. Everyone's gathered, sitting around, and he's just like crouched down. And as we get the crash sound in On the Run, he stands up and the fight begins. And yeah, we're getting the clocks going off. for as time starts up, as they're just like ducking and weaving, fighting each other. There's a lot of like running around. The thing about a knife fight is that it's over as soon as someone lands the first blow, you know?
Yeah.
It's like kind of difficult to make this super exciting because as soon as someone gets hit, it's it, you know? Like it's mostly dodging. Instead of killing him, like Paul is trained by Gurney and by Duncan, and so he's like a decent fighter and is completely underestimated by Jamis. And so he manages to put his blade to Jamis's neck and says, like, demands that he yield, which is just not done in the Fremen culture. Like, this is a grave insult to Jamis because effectively he's being treated like he's being toyed with. And even Stilgar's like, what the fuck? Like, is he messing with him? This is really nasty. And Jessica explains that he's never killed anyone before. So it's legitimate. He doesn't want to do it. And yes, Jamis is getting like more and more worked up, just screaming, like yelling out this like war cries effectively. Paul, as we go into the ominous time chords, Paul just hears Kwisatz Haderach repeated in his mind over and over again as we get more and more flashes of that holy war that is coming, the burning bodies, etc. And in one final swift movement, he stabs Jamis, taking his life, giving him the death that he earned, and earning his mum's protection in that moment. Yeah, and from here on for a little bit, we get like it's all slow motion as Paul walks away from the scene because he's sort of in shock in this moment, and again, his past self, like his childhood, effectively is killed in this moment. Like he's no longer who he was. And the Fremen are all reaching out to him and putting their hands on his shoulders. Again, this is like very Christ analogy here. Yeah. Like touching him as he walks past in slow motion. And he's walking towards Shani as well, who's like representing his future out here as well. He's earned his place among the Fremen. He's like, it's a life for a life. That's the rules. If you want to join the Fremen, you got to kill a Fremen, which is, you know, that's how you get less Fremen. That's not a good plan, but anyway.
You don't have to be crazy to work here, but you do have to kill a Fremen.
Yeah, but it's on all the
it's
work
one of our other
posters.
T-shirts.
Yeah. Oh, there's so many. We're just running a sweatshop at this point, Gareth. It's no good.
Yeah. Oh, we just sold one of those to the Baron. That's interesting.
Oh, weird. Huh. I think he's just going to use it to mop up all the oil, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway. Jessica is trying to argue for Paul to be taken off worlds because she's like, I got to protect my son. But Paul is the one who says no. He refuses to leave, saying that his place is with joining the Fremen and fulfilling his father's wishes. To bring peace to Arrakis. He says that the Emperor has sent them here and that here's where they're going to be. Like, he's not going to defy the Emperor, even though, like, they've betrayed his family. He's, like, going to utilize this people and learn about them, you know, which is what his father wanted to do anyway. But yeah, he's living that legacy. And yeah, that we see them for the final scene here. Jamis's body is being carried across the desert in like a weird little like tarp thing.
To keep all its moisture, right?
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, that tracks. And they're going to the Siege, and Paul sees in the distance a Fremen riding on the back of a sandworm. He's got those little hooks in the sandworm and zooming around, and that's desert power, baby. We're going to ride the worms.
The guitar solo for Time is ripping while that happens.
Yeah, hell yeah. Sand surfing. Very exciting. as they're looking at this, it's a little bit contrived, but Chani comes over and says that this is only the beginning, which is true.
Yeah.
Like, we know it's part one. Like, we get it. We get that there's more. But yeah.
She's also wrong. It's the middle of track 3 of Dark Side of the Moon. It's nowhere near the beginning.
It's not. I guess we're still side 1, Shani, but you know. Yeah, they are traveling on. We see Paul smiling, which is weird after killing a guy. It's like, okay. But anyway, yeah. We're getting the lines in time here as we wrap up the movie. You run to catch up with the sun, but it's sinking, Gareth. And how did it sink? What did you think? How did it sink? I fucked up my final line.
Oh, your catchphrase.
Damn it.
That's because the pressure was on. You had to use my rejected catchphrase from the start of last year where I kept trying to intro the show with you run to catch up with the sun, but it's sinking. You see, it's just too much pressure. That's why I had to abandon it. Aw, for the real ones, that catchphrase.
Yeah.
But what did we think? How did it sink? I mean, look, cast your mind back to the 70s.
Okay.
Dark Side of the Moon is just hit. It's out on vinyl and cassette. People are going nuts. A filmmaker, Alejandro Jodorowsky, comes to Pink Floyd. They're eating their burgers.
Delicious.
He's furious, but he's like, boys, I need you to do the music for the House Atreides. And I'm going to say it. Look, I could never make a film like The Holy Mountain. Yeah. But on this topic, I know more than Alejandro, and he was wrong.
Whoa.
House Atreides, no syncs for those guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, Paul had to abandon these ways to get the syncs. Like, the Fremen have syncs. But he also has to look maybe to the other side, because the biggest sinker with his little propeller hat was, of course, the Baron. The Baron's the one, like, giving a look when you hear a ka-ching. He's rising up to On the Run. He's like...
Yeah.
He kills Yue to race towards an early grave.
Yeah.
He's listening to the Floyd in his oily bath. So, yeah, but it's not his film. It might be the sequel, might be his film. Who's to say? But it's not his film, so that's...
Be a weird turn.
Yeah.
It's all from the
about how
Baron's
he's
perspective.
right, and we're like, wait, what?
They're like, oh, hold on. Wait a minute. Oh, I hope not. Anyway.
Yeah, so that's where I'm at. That's, the loose... That's all my visions. I don't know what one will come to pass.
That makes perfect sense to me,
feeling?
man. Like, yeah, I'm right there with you. It's the Baron's show, apparently. But, like, he is making up not much of the film. Like, we've solidified that his vision of Dune, his perspective, is perfectly synced with the album Dark Side of the Moon. But we don't. We only get him for a few scant scenes with Stellan Skarsgård. So I feel like we can't go very high. I think I said last time I was like at 4-5 on the last play, but I feel like we've gone down a bit. I think we should go 3 for Dune.
Yeah. I think you're right. I think we've seen the Baron's vision of what he thinks this movie is, and that movie is Avatar, but starring the Baron. And Avatar got an 8. Like, it was right.
There we go.
In fact, maybe his vision was March of the Penguins, where he just looked at the people who live somewhere kill themselves. Who's to say?
Yeah.
Just being bemused.
In a horrific wasteland.
Yeah,
that's his vibe.
But yeah, I'm thinking it's a 3, and I feel like I've been, maybe we shouldn't have had the sun. We should have produced only women for Pink Floyd.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe this movie wasn't the chosen one we thought it was.
Maybe not. But that's okay.
That's okay.
We've got to see it fall like the Atreides. We put in the work and we figured it out. We put our heads together. So there you go. Put it on the graph. Put it in your copybook.
3.
Yeah. Oh well, cool. But
like, let's imagine a world where this movie did come together to honor Pink Floyd.
Okay.
It's our favorite segment. It's what characters in this film would you put in a Pink Floyd cover band,
Yes.
James?
Okay, I'm ready to do this.
Good.
I've got the characters in front of me. If on vocals, I'm putting Duncan Idaho.
Yes.
Because you can't not. With a name like that, he's got to be your front man. He has to be. So he's on the vocals for sure. I feel like we need Kynes on the drums because she did that sweet bit where she was beating out that beat. You know, she's got the rhythm to attract the worm, and that's what I need in my band. All right, so we've got her. Yeah, we've got her on the drums.
100%.
Her/him, depending on if you have got book Kynes versus movie Kynes. On the keys, I want Thufa, the mentat. I want him on the keys. He'll be surrounded by all the instruments and know how to use every one. That's what I want from him, and a cage of keyboards. He's, instead of studying like maths and accounting, he's just been studying music instead. Give me the music mentat. That's what I want.
Oh, instead of Spotify, it's just a mentat?
On bass. I want Zendaya on bass. I want Shani on the bass. Get her in there. Just crushing it. And lead guitar, we've got to have Gurney.
Yeah.
Lead guitar and backup vocals from Gurney. He like refuses to sing on most tracks, but he's the one doing all the like little indent like spoken word stuff. That's him. He's in there. That's my lineup.
That's honestly, I'm not faulting that at all. If I may, like someone who's done all the work in the group project, I think I just want to co-sign yours. I don't want to
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
I'm going to also steal your A+.
Oh, happy to provide. Like much of my university career, Gareth, that's so it goes.
Yeah. I want to like, maybe they can use the pain box, like they stick a microphone in that and they get their like, that's where they get on the run.
Yeah, that is where they get on the run.
Definitely where they get the clocks.
Yeah. The crash sound is just getting stabbed by the Gom Jabbar.
Yeah. The money bass line is just, they've put down the piano from Big and they set it to sound like a bass and then someone's still sand walking over it.
Yeah. That's
so
how they do it.
That 7/4 rhythm.
7/4. Yeah. 7/4 is the sandwalk time signature.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Oh my god.
That's why Earth is safe from our many sandworms, is because Pink Floyd, they laid down a hit 7/4 song that's probably played on rock radio at least once a day to keep us safe.
That is the best excuse for money being on Dark Side of the Moon I've ever heard, Gareth. We've finally justified that track.
Yeah, you know that one track that doesn't fit the vibe of the rest of the album?
Yeah.
It's keeping us safe.
It's the one holding back the enemies at the door. It's keeping the people of Earth safe from a worm and menace. Oh, God.
Well, thank you, Pink Floyd.
Thank you.
Thank you. And in order to help you protect us from the worms, we're going to continue 2020 Dune, Dark Side of the Dune, learn more about the worms by taking a little trip to the 80s to visit our dear friend David Lynch and his brave attempt to make Dune into a movie. Maybe it'll sync better. We're going to see more Baron, for sure. See more Fremen.
Yep, maybe.
Yeah. Who's to say? We're going to meet all kinds of characters that people have talked about that we've never met in these films, and they're going to be played by some pretty different actors.
I cannot wait. I've kept myself in the dark completely, so I'm very excited.
So you know nothing about this version, right?
I know nothing except that it's made by David Lynch and that it's got old mate from Twin Peaks as Paul.
But
that's it.
Oh, excellent. I will look forward to being your tour guide through the cosmos for this.
Please.
Weirdly, I've chosen this to be the Dune I know more about. Chosen this to be my personality.
Excellent.
Oh,
cool.
yes.
Until then, Sync Floyd on Twitter, at gmail.com, syncfloydpod@gmail.com. Sorry. Sync Floyd Pod. Are we Sync Floyd at Sync Floyd on Twitter, or are we at Sync Floyd Pod on Twitter? I think we are.
At Sync Floyd Pod, my friend.
Oh, there we go. Okay. On the YouTube, on Letterboxd, on all the good stuff. Catch us. Send us that sweet drawing of a worm, and I will be thrilled to bits. See you next week.
Yeah. Oh, we'll see you then. And until then, and I'm very excited to say it, we'll see you on the dark side of the Dune.
On the dark side of the Dune, it's really hot. Like, even though it's the dark side, it's still quite hot.
Yeah.
It's got the residual heat.
Exactly. Yeah. Arrakis is warm. Get your sand suits.
Your sand suits. Goodbye.
Bye.
All right.
Dang it, they're called stilt suits, aren't they?
Yep.
Because I almost said stilt walk earlier.
Stilt walk. Would have been better. Would have been better if they were all on stilts.
Hey, now you're talking a film I'm still trying to write.
Stilt World. I forgot. Oh my God. Hell yeah. All right. I hope that all made it in. Goodbye.
Bye.